If you're watching this video right now, chances are you grew up with Minecraft or have played Minecraft at least once in your lifetime. And most likely, you have experienced memories that you still hold near and dear to your heart to this day. Over the 12 years that I have played this beautiful game, I have made so many memories that I look back on now as an adult. I've played an unhealthy amount of Minecraft in my life, and some would probably say too much. This is only one version of Minecraft, by the way. If I counted my Pocket Edition, 360, and Xbox One time, I'd probably come to the realization I spent a huge chunk of my life on this game. But now that I've effectively established I have no life, let's talk SMPs. Survival Multiplayer. A good amount of people that play Minecraft typically follow this pattern. Create world with friends, play on said world with friends for 2 weeks, not play Minecraft for an undesignated amount of time, then come back to just start a new world and start the cycle all over again like the last times didn't even matter. But not me. Well, kinda. You see, I've had my fair share of Minecraft survival worlds with friends, much like you, playing on a world for a good bit just for it to get forgotten when we started our next one. But there was one world, one specific world that occupied a majority of this 200-day playtime, one that I practically lived on during my middle school years. And today, I open up my storybook and walk you through key moments in my childhood and share stories behind some iconic structures that are filled with laughs, acts of terror, and most importantly, memories. Welcome to Slam City. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nightwing7974 and I am the chairman of Slam City, a world filled with amazing creations both good and awful, big and small, and lots of various strange substances. Slam City is a creative multiplayer world. So CMP? CM Punk! CM Punk! I am so sorry, my inner wrestling fan came out and I promise that won't happen again. Never mind, that actually plays a pretty big role in the origin of this shit show. Pretty much everything on this world has a story to tell. Even the smallest of things has an exponential backstory to it. But allow me to set the stage a bit and explain how all of this came together. Get ready for an exposition dump. And it starts in the year 2016. The one year a lot of people seem to want to go back to for some reason. 8 years ago, which quite literally feels like just the other day. The roster was as follows: 13-year-old middle school Knight and my friends Peach, Ford, Hala, Rapid, and Doo-Wop. Everyone was bored in the Xbox party, so I hopped on to Minecraft Xbox One Edition and started building something I had wanted to do for a very long time. I wanted to build my very own WWE Monday Night Raw wrestling arena. And at the time, I had been a fan of WWE for 6 years? Yeah, I was pretty much addicted to it. I always wanted to have that one big build that I was super proud of. And I also watched a lot of Xbox Addiction's Herobrine trolling videos. Yeah, I bet that one was a throwback, huh? Of which he would record in his arena. So with everyone else bored, and with me being the first to make a move to actually do something, they all joined along and helped me make my first ever huge build in Minecraft. Over the course of about a month or so, we banded together and made a very rough looking but beautiful arena. And just for a little added fun, we all even made up our own wrestling personas and 1v1'd in the ring. The two that I remember the most was probably Rapid's, whose gimmick was Mr. Whiskers. Doo-Wop's entire shtick was that before every single match that he'd partake in, he'd sit there and record a diss track against his opponent. This was around 2016, so this was at the height of the YouTube diss track trend. And I can confirm that he had better bars than both Rice Gum and KSI combined. But, I have something to confess. These clips and screenshots you're seeing right now are actually not from 2016. They are actually from the summer of 2017 in a completely different arena on a completely different world? You see, at some point in early 2017, I was clearing out some old worlds I didn't need anymore, and upon reflection after the fact, realized I had deleted the world that contained that very arena, and all the hard work the 6 of us had put into it. Yep! Real bang-up job, Knight! Good going, you stupid dumbass. I can already sense that you, the viewer, would be pissed at me if you were a part of building it. But boy, let me tell you, my friends tore me a new asshole and I never heard the end of it. But I was genuinely sad and I really did feel bad. I had flushed away the biggest build I had ever made in Minecraft. So you might be asking, if you deleted the arena and those images and screenshots were from 2017, how does that make any sense? Well, the answer to that is actually quite simple. We completely rebuilt the fucking thing! Yep, that's right. On June 24th, 2017, we began a completely new world and began rebuilding the arena all over again from scratch. When I told my friends that night that I wanted to redo it, they were honest and blunt with me when they said, hell no, do it yourself. We're not putting more effort in just to lose it all over again because your illiterate ass can't read a world name before pressing delete. But I understood. I wasn't mad or anything. They were completely justified. But I was 13, just finished my first year of middle school with summer break just beginning. I had nothing else better to do or play. The most recent COD game at the time was Infinite Warfare, so I just said screw it and began rebuilding the arena all by myself. Within the first 45 minutes, when my friends saw I was actually deadass and tackled it solo, they joined back in too to help save some of my sanity. But during the rebuild, my one friend Hala raised a very good point. I was planning on using the arena world as just a simple build world, you know, for things like pixel art, building practice, and other random crap. But Hala came up with the idea of turning the world into much more than just the arena, by turning it into a full-on city instead. Essentially a roleplay world of sorts. Now, we were no strangers to roleplay worlds. I mean, come on, we were kids, and I know people look at roleplaying as cringy, but when you hear some of these stories, you're gonna bust your ass off. We were friends with another person at the time, named Dragon, who had their own roleplay world that ran since the Xbox 360 days. My friends knew him before I did, and they played on there before I ever did, but some memories I recall from my brief experience on that world involved building a mansion, having a titty-pinching robot camp on the outskirts of my property, starting my own Hitman business, witnessing the mayor get assassinated, getting harassed by a piss-drenched homeless man who just so happened to be the principal of the school I went to, and eating overpriced tacos from a food truck with a $14 Fontaine Drin. If you think those experiences sounded insane, buckle in because the stories you're gonna hear today are way worse. When we had a falling out with Dragon, we defected and I started my own roleplay world in May of 2017. That we played on for about a week. But I actually have screenshots of this world. The one you're looking at right now, you'll see Doo-Wop made his own KFC that sold weed-infused chicken. I made a GameStop that was so big we turned it into an unfinished mall. And Peach had a pizza place that doubled as a strip club. Because who wouldn't want to stare at some busty blocks while scarfing down a piping hot piece of Peach's pepperoni pizza? Holy shit, I said that in one take. But like I said, that world only lasted a week before we got bored and abandoned it. But the idea of turning the simple super flat arena world into something much bigger, into the ultimate creative roleplay world, was one that I didn't agree with at first, but eventually started to love more and more as the days went on. And that's where our journey begins. The absolute oldest save file I still have is from late 2018, which is shockingly over half a decade ago though as of the making of this video. I don't have any remaining saves from 2017 and a majority of 2018 unfortunately, but I have at least one from every year 2018 and beyond. I'll be pulling from those save files to give an insight as to how things have evolved over time. And I'll try to always have the year in the top right so you always know what point of history you're in. We always tended to hop around from project to project a lot, so there is a metric shit ton of unfinished builds. Don't blame us, blame our short attention spans. And I mean, there's 104 days of summer vacation and school comes along just to end it, so the annual problem for our generation was finding a good way to spend it. Oh man, I'm so happy I improv that. What I'm trying to say is we tried to cram in as many different builds as we could during the summer months, and even though a lot of things are unfinished, there's still some eye candy and some eyesores to look at. There were way more people that played on this world than just the original 6, so I'll be popping up some key figures on the screen now with their skins, just so you can get familiar with their names and faces. And because I'm already assuming ahead that some of you might ask this, the texture pack you are seeing on this world is called Modern Textures HD by Imagiverse on the Minecraft Marketplace. For the longest time, we always searched for the perfect texture pack to add to the world, and we found that in 2019 with this pack. It might take a bit of getting used to because it certainly did for us, but I assure you, when you see some of the builds, you'll see exactly why we chose it. And now, let me get my book out, sort through all the police records, death threats, court documents, and begin the tour. Before we begin the tour officially, I feel like I need to give an honorable mention to the hub building, which was started in June of 2020. This building is where the world spawn is, and is where every new player will begin their journey in Slam City. Each floor of this skyscraper is dedicated to how the world works. All this stuff can be really boring to listen to. Things like the economy, a season system, prestiging, all of this can get really overwhelming for a new player. And normally when I begin every tour of this world, I take a new player through this building. But there is just so much in this world that we have to cover that it would be a straight up slog to sit here and have me explain to you how this world's in-depth economy works. So maybe one day we'll come back and we'll take a look at the hub building. But for now, all you need to know about the hub building is that it's the world spawn point. It teaches you how the world works. It has a member board with every single player that has ever played on this world and their current status. Don't ask about Soviet Doggo though. The less you know about him, the better. And this place has a command block teleporting system, which will allow you to fast travel to any location in this entire map. Oh, and that there's a secret underground organization that hides treasure vaults throughout the city. I was going to include this building in full, but I want this video to be more about the builds themselves and the stories that come with them. And I don't want you to have to sit through 20 to 30 minutes of me talking about economy and land pricing. Now that we got the hub out of the way, let's start with chapter 1. By entering through the horribly off-centered raw sign, you'll make your way down the road and lay your eyes upon the oldest structure in all of Slam City. Exterior-wise, the arena remained mostly unchanged throughout the years, with a lot of the changes mostly being the main logo, the windows, and the parking lot. During the construction, Hala had asked me what my plan was for the exterior, and criticized me when I said I was preparing for it to be a square. The main concern was the arena ending up like a gigantic box pretty much. I didn't have a problem with it since it was simple and it would have allowed me to cram more stuff on the inside. But since I had that fuck-ass pig yapping in my ear complaining and making fun of the box, I retaliated by making it a house shape. And boy, let me tell you, that design was the death of me. You'll see the WWE logo is plastered front and center. At one point, however, I had made a massive pixel art of the WWE logo that was going to be on the roof, but it looked out of place and too highly detailed, so I destroyed it and settled for what you're seeing here. Once you take a walk through the parking lot, assuming you didn't get hit by a car along the way, you'll cut through the line dividers and enter through the main entrance. The first thing you'll see is the plaque with the foundation date that that started it all. You might also notice the lettering on the floor, which spells out the name of the chairman, Nightwing7974. And believe it or not, this was not an ego decision made by me. It was actually done by Hala. A bit shocking, I know, but nothing boosts the ego of a wrestling chairman more than having himself plastered all over it, am I right? The arena served more of a purpose than just wrestling. With a whopping 4 stories, players were able to build their own store inside the arena. There's been a number of different stores that rotated in and out, such as GameStop, with many different games from around the time, which you can definitely tell shows its age, because it's the year 2024, and I don't think people are going to be walking into a GameStop this year and picking up Black Ops 4. A Popeyes? More on that one later. Baskin-Robbins, a Philly pretzel factory, Dairy Queen, a Lego store, and a pineapple juice stand ran by a teddy bear? Yeah, that's right. Ford had his own pineapple juice stand where he'd constantly hand out coupons for. It was a miracle the little shit was able to see over the counter, let alone be able to serve a customer pineapple juice. I believe I recall an incident where my one friend Jameson tried to redeem a coupon for a free pineapple juice, and he was giving Ford a difficult time because the coupon was expired and Ford wouldn't take it. He tried to pull the time zone trick, claiming it wasn't expired yet, and that if Ford didn't honor the coupon, he was gonna sue him for it. But if there's one thing that you're gonna come to find out, is that Ford was not someone you'd bargain with. To deal with this stubborn customer, Ford duplicated the coupon, added one extra stipulation, and trashed the original. Although the customer was being a dick, Ford at the end of the day was indeed a business owner and needed to put his customers first by fulfilling the order. And so the teddy bear served the customer with a smile just like he always did. Except this time around, he had a much bigger smirk than normal. Jameson downed the entire glass of pineapple juice, urinated on the floor in front of the establishment, flipped off Ford, and collapsed with his pants down mere blocks away, which is where that little added stipulation that Ford decided to write on the coupon comes into play. The stipulation stated that if the coupon was loopholed in any way, shape, or form, the purchased pineapple juice would be laced with 150 blended up cherry pits, which, if you are unaware, contains enough cyanide to take out an adult elephant. So lesson of the day, kids. Even when the customer is in theory correct, that's not gonna stop them from eating a shit ton of cyanide. Passing through the merch stands, you'll enter the center part of the arena, where every Monday night, my friends and I would have a blast. This was where it all started. Hundreds of seating lined up that was never filled with people, which was a bit awkward at times. All this that you're seeing now is unchanged from 2017. It's crazy to think that the blocks you are looking at right now, the announce table, the TV rig, the ring itself, were all placed 7 years ago. The oldest blocks in the entirety of this world. I designed the stage after the same wrestling set that I grew up with, the 2011 Monday Night Raw stage. It was the one thing I always wanted to build in Minecraft, and here it is, brought to life. At one point, Peach came up with the idea to engrave Raw into the seats, much like how our school at the time did in our gymnasium, which is why when you look back at some older screenshots of the arena, some contain the lettering, whereas some don't. It wasn't around for long, which is why I'm shocked I even still have this screenshot of what it looked like. We thought it was cool for about a week, but then it felt like it was a bit too tacky for a wrestling arena. But this is a fully functioning set with pyro loaded head to toe, courtesy of Peach. Everyone that helped build the arena each had their own little role in its construction, but Peach was itching to get his hands on the pyro. He always had a thing for fireworks, and that was the main thing he wanted to contribute to both the arena and this world in general. I actually remember him sitting on his fruity ass, watching us put everything together, and ask in between every song he blasted on his loud ass JBL speaker, when can I add the redstone? Is the backstage done yet? It was like a mosquito buzzing around you while you were trying to whack it to your algebra homework. But I can't fully blame him though. Pyrotechnics is a huge part of the WWE's presentation, and it really helps add to the atmosphere and scale of everything. So I wanted it done right. We have ring pyro, with lightning effects, and amazing stage pyro. You really had everything you needed to make a grandiose entrance. But where's all the controls to this stuff? Well, allow me to take you behind the curtain and show you where all the magic happens. The backstage area is probably the one thing that changed the most drastically over the years. Remember how I said Hala didn't want the arena to be a big box, so I made it a house shape? Well, that played a massive role in how the backstage area looked. I had such little room to do anything back here, and it was a pain in the ass to get all the pyro redstone hooked up. We had all the stage pyro controlled inside one room, so all the pyro you saw was controlled right here from the back. Minus the ring ones though, those are controlled ringside. Peach rigged up all this redstone behind the Titantron screen, which I will admit looks very satisfying to look at. And of course you got all the redstone underneath the stage. All this just seems like a massive headache to me, and I don't know how the hell Peach did it. He even found a way to implement a stage riser, which is what Rey Mysterio used to use for his entrance. Other than that, the OG arena's backstage consisted of a loading dock, a very small break room, and an interview room. That's it. That's quite literally all of the arena. That was until the summer of 2020 with a little thing called Project War. From 2017 to 2020, the arena remained mostly the same. We had all moved on to other things and the arena was just left unfinished. But 3 years had passed and I wanted to do something special for the anniversary. So I came up with the idea of renovating and upgrading the arena. I dedicated a part of the summer of 2020 to finish the arena once and for all. And for the most part, I think I succeeded. A roadblock was put up on the entrance road and numerous construction vehicles began to pop up. Yeah, that's right. It was like a fucking Fortnite map update. The very first thing I did was start replacing the coal blocks with black concrete. Concrete was added right around the time the second arena's construction had started, and all my friends originally suggested using black concrete, but I was stubborn and refused to work with black concrete. But could you blame me? Building a massive structure made completely out of black concrete is a pain in the ass, because you can't see the block outline, and you don't know where you're placing or breaking sometimes. Once I put the texture pack on at the end of 2019, everything on the map looked good, except for the arena, so a renovation was pretty much bound to happen anyway somewhere down the line. I was pretty much undoing a large majority of what was done years prior, but fortunately it was now Bedrock Edition, so I had commands this time around to fill everything in. Thank Christ for that, because if I had to replace each individual block by hand, I probably would have way more brain damage than I already have. I had built a Seth Rollins logo on the side of the arena, but I took it down and knocked windows into both walls. You see, my original vision was to have various wrestling logos on both walls, like Roman Reigns, John Cena, fucking Hornswoggle, you get the point. But I gave up after Seth's logo took me way longer than it should have. Plus, I just felt like windows should have been there from the very beginning. I added an exclusive VIP 4th floor, which included more stores like the McDonald's and the Dairy Queen, and they were exclusive to VIPs. VIPs also had access to box seating, complete with TVs and the best view of the show possible. But perhaps the biggest part of the Project War renovations came from the back of the arena. Once I got a hold of this backstage, the very first thing I did was round out the shape into a box, thus expanding the overall build space and ditching that stupid house shape design. Everything backstage was gutted. The break room, the loading bay, everything was completely ripped out. There was a tunnel that led into the audience that was removed as well. Even a lot of the redstone was rewired since we just had more room, and it allowed us to rig up even more fireworks. And the other great thing that came with Bedrock Edition were the command blocks. And with the place redstone block command, I was able to drastically simplify a lot of the redstone. You see, that's the thing with me. I can't do redstone worth shit, but you can do literally anything with a command block. So while others still use the classic redstone for a lot of things, I completely shifted towards learning how to use command blocks to their fullest potential. There's just one more thing I'm still trying to learn. The other issue that we had with the original shape of the arena was that there was a lot of unused space within the structure, but with a now blank slate, I was free to do whatever I wanted. I added a practice ring where you could hype yourself up before your match, an equipment storage unit with spare ring parts, a decently sized catering area, an interview section with a backdrop and camera, and a men and women's locker room. But I didn't stop there. I even went as far as to make my way underground and put together an underground parking garage loaded with forklifts, equipment trucks, cars, and a security room. When you look at the before and after photos of what the arena looked like, especially the backstage, you can see how much of a stark difference there is. There's still some aspects to the arena that are unfinished and unpolished, but to be honest, it doesn't need to be. The truth is that this build is flawed from head to toe, but it was the first thing ever built on this world. No matter how much time passes, I still find myself walking through here, remembering and reliving these memories years later. The arena is probably the one structure that we look at today that I am the most emotionally attached to. This is where it all started, 7 years ago. The arena is the heart of Slam City, and I've never been so happy to look at a giant box in my life, and it's safe to say that almost a decade later, I still like it raw. As soon as the final arena wall was built up, everyone was quick to move on to their other builds, and begin expanding the world into a city, which leads us to what I like to call the Strip. This was the very first road or street that was paved into the world, and on this strip there have been some very iconic structures and buildings. Let's start with what was added first, the apartment complexes. I remember quite vividly the day that these were even constructed too. We had the arena, and that was the only thing in the world at the time. So of course the question was brought up, where the hell do we all live? The vision we had was a roleplay world after all, and by roleplay standards, we were all technically homeless. Well, I mean, one of us already kind of looked homeless from the beginning. So while a few of us were adding some arena touch-ups, Ford was the first one to make a move and began construction on some apartment buildings for all of us to live in. I remember I wanted to just build my own house right off the bat, but for the sake of role-playing and for the sake of fun, we all agreed that it'd be a great idea to just start from scratch, to start from nothing and make our way up from there. So for the first few weeks of Slam City, myself and all of my friends lived in the apartments, doing basic jobs like helping each other interiorize our apartments, helping to construct the roads, you know, like basic tasks that needed to be done in order for us to function as a society. We were all neighbors for this very short period of time, and it was boatloads of fun. And honestly, one of my personal favorite time periods of Slam City. But eventually, we all got sick of each other and moved out on our own. This is how the strip started, and it has changed drastically over the years with so many different buildings that were built coming and going. And in 2020, for Slam City's 3-year anniversary, Ford came in and overhauled all of the apartment buildings. nice. And I must say, if this doesn't prove how much our building has improved over the years, I don't know what does. Like, just compare the originals to the new ones. It's quite literally the you versus the guy she told you not to worry about meme. And 4 years later, Hala actually ended up moving back into an apartment building, and he'd run his banner shop out back in his garage. And of course, since day one, Ford was the owner and manager of these apartments. And at the beginning of every new Slam City season, Ford would actually make a surprisingly good amount of money by renting these out to players. And that's pretty much it for the apartments. Now you know the humble tale of how our society began. But we still have a lot to cover. So let's take a walk down the most iconic street in Slam City and find out everything that's happened here. Shall we? This story takes place in late 2017, and our good friend Doo-Wop decided he wanted to dip his toes into the deep waters of entrepreneurship, and he figured what better way to start than becoming a franchisee of a 7-Eleven. Now, an important detail that needs to be mentioned for the background of this story is that Doo-Wop was the one black guy in our Xbox friend group, and we all loved him. To this day, he is one of the funniest people I have ever met in my entire life. And this is a story that we both still laugh about years later. So Doo-Wop built his very own 7-Eleven, and he had a variety of different options available to purchase. Things like a $7 bag of Fritos, hot dogs that were probably rolling there since the cave game era, and fried chicken flavored Slurpees? Yeah, no, I shit you not. That was a genuine thing he added to his product list. One of the things he loved to do was turn the stereotypes of his race into humor to always get a laugh out of everyone in the Xbox party. And this was exactly one of those situations. So, the same day that Doo-Wop's 7-Eleven opened, more specifically just a few seconds after he got behind the register, Rapid walks in, and he sees the fried chicken Slurpees. Are those real? Did you actually put fried chicken into a Slurpee? He asked Doo-Wop, to which, of course, Doo-Wop says, yes, it's a generational family recipe, and asks if he'd be interested in buying one. And the following scenario that unfolded went exactly how I am describing it to you right now. Rapid then turned around, walked outside of the 7-Eleven and into the parking lot, changed his skin into the Lee Everett Walking Dead skin, walked back inside, looked at the Slurpee machine, then back to Doo-Wop, and in the coldest, most monotone voice said, "This is racist. I'm fucking suing you." And the entire Xbox party just erupted into laughter. My lungs felt like they were going to collapse. So at this point, we just decided to turn this into a full-on roleplay, which led to the first ever court case in Slam City history. We didn't even have a courthouse established yet, and we already had a lawsuit on our hands. So we literally built an impromptu court setup in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven specifically to handle this situation. And this racial conflict was definitely complicated, but this was the verdict that we came to. We made the decision for this roleplay to be strictly set in game and didn't take any real-life aspects into consideration. And when we did that, this situation became completely one-sided. Even though Doo-Wop as a person was black, the skin he loved to use in-game was the homeless guy skin, which is white. So in-game, in the world of Slam City, Doo-Wop was kinda screwed here. And unfortunately for him, there was not much he could do. So in the span of 2 hours, Doo-Wop built and franchised a 7-Eleven, a massive court case unfolded in the parking lot, and by the end of the day, Rapid won the court case and successfully sued Doo-Wop into financial oblivion all over a simple Slurpee. I wish I was making this up, but come on, this entire scenario was one of the single funniest moments I have ever witnessed in my 20 years of life. And this story in particular, out of every one that I share with you today, holds a very special place in my heart. Because when I had first started posting on TikTok back in March of 2021, I shared this exact story as the 4th video I had ever uploaded to my channel. I posted it on the night of March 20th when I had 14 followers. And the very next day, I woke up to over 600 new followers in that exact video, having over 20,000 views. And ever since then, I have been a content creator for 3 years and posted every single day since without missing a single upload. So if it wasn't for this silly little lawsuit and roleplay, I might not be where I am today. Doo-Wop 7-Eleven was, of course, shut down the very same day it was built, and he was forced to pay whatever money he had saved up to Rapid, who somehow managed to Karen his way to being the richest man in the world. The building stood in this exact spot for a while. Of course, you know, before Peach got tired looking at it and tore it down without asking anyone if it was okay, so the original structure is no longer here. But an exact replica did get rebuilt at some point with a few minor changes. A lie detector in the basement. Do I like men? What? Yo, yo, yo! My name is Mr. Wang, and this is my pawn shop. So let me get this straight. This is your soon-to-be-dead wife's diamond necklace? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, my friend, but this isn't really worth all that much. You know, valuables and belongings typically rise in price after the owner is no longer with us. So, I don't know, man. The best I can do is 10 tokens. And I'm talking Chuck E. Cheese tokens, by the way, not Slam tokens. I'm taking a huge risk here, and, you know, I gotta resell it, so that's my offer. Oh, she's gone? I'm sorry for your loss, man. I mean, it's definitely gone up in price, so I'll give you a $15 Applebee's gift card with 12 cents left on it. Welcome to my pawn shop. Established in the year 2020, this is one of a few businesses I ran on Slam City, and it's a place where players could go to buy and sell their valuables and possessions. Originally, I built this place to be a restaurant, but I just never got around to it. So eventually, I decided to go full-on Wang Harrison and turn it into a pawn shop. My intention behind starting my own pawn shop was simple: to have a place where valuable pieces of Slam City history can be bought and sold. There's been plenty of items that have become iconic in this city, and this would give players not only an opportunity to own some of them, but to also make some money. I introduced the collectibles system in the summer of 2020, and this is one of my favorite parts about how the Slam City economy functioned. In the Notes app on my phone, I have files tracking every single collectible ever introduced over the past 4 years, as well as how much they're worth, the original owner, and who currently owns them. There would be collectible sets as well, where if you owned every collectible in the set, you would get a sale bonus if you sold the entire set to me. The very first set of collectibles I introduced were available right here at the pawn shop, and it was the Easter egg set. This set included a stalking diary, the infamous fried chicken Slurpee, a missing tree log, a music disc that plays the song Rasputin, and an ice cube. Now, you'll soon understand what all of these Easter egg collectibles are by the end of this video, but the stalking diary was actually a reference to the titty-pinching robot that camped outside my mansion on Dragon's Roleplay World. When the release day came, the entire world was hyped and excited about this new feature, so much so that there was a line outside the pawn shop that ended with 2 people getting severely wounded by the chief of police, Donovan, which gave him the perfect opportunity to be the first one in line to purchase these new collectibles. Donovan emptied his entire bank account just to secure 3 of the first 5 collectibles introduced. So yes, he dropped 525,000 tokens in a span of 2 minutes. Collectibles were given out for special events and occasions such as holidays and were sometimes raffled off in the Slam City Park. They ranged in value from as low as 100,000 tokens all the way to 1 million. The most expensive and most valuable set introduced was the Founders set. The Founders set consisted of iconic pieces of each founder's history and had a base value of 1 million tokens each. And if one person somehow, someway managed to acquire all 5 of these collectibles, they would get a massive sale bonus of 10 million tokens, totaling 15 million for the entire set. Of course, that would probably be impossible, but I still wanted to throw in a special reward in the off chance someone actually managed to pull it off. You had Ford's Pen 15 Wrangler, which is a reference to the pigs Ford used to spawn all over the map that he named the Pen 15 Oinkers. Paula's Applesauce Pork Chop, we'll get into that one later. Peach's Shrub, which was an ongoing joke that we always had. When Peach was bored, he would come over to one of us when we were building and watch us. And if we were building a house or something, he would come in and just start placing shrubbery. That's it. He was Slam City's official bush boy. Then you had Doo-Wop's Grass, in quotes, in relation to a certain shop Doo-Wop used to run. And of course, Nightwing's championship, since I was the chairman of the wrestling organization in the world. Now, what made these so rare, besides the fact that only 1 of each were ever made, they were only given out to the founder that they belonged to, and as such are locked in all of their inventories, probably never to be sold. Ford is the proud owner of a whopping 9 collectibles, having the most in the entire world, which is probably 20 less than the amount of times the little shit flipped my $sign upside down! Sorry, he tends to do that a lot. Outside of the bloodshed that happened, there's been a few times where I've walked through the entrance only for the front doors of my pawn shop to fucking explode. Yeah, that'll be a recurring thing you'll notice with all my builds. But moving next door to the pawn shop, you'll see the Oh, hi, Kevin! Ladies and gentlemen, meet Kevin the Tree. Kevin was born into this world by Ford in 2020, and this little tree has a heart almost as big as his smile. For some reason, Kevin just kinda sprouted up between these 2 buildings, and he's been a member of Slam City ever since. The first time someone walks past Kevin, it was a tradition to leave a sign saying, "Hi, Kevin," and signing your gamer tag. And in season 1 of Slam City, Kevin even won an award, with everyone congratulating him on his phenomenal achievement. We actually made a law that if a new player didn't say hi to Kevin within the first 2 weeks of them joining the world, they could be fined and criminally prosecuted. To the left of Kevin, it's the Hard Rock Cafe. There's not much story to this building. Peach just made a small Hard Rock Cafe that myself and everyone else in the world would always grief by changing one simple letter on the sign. Next up, we have the Slam City Post Office, which was built in 2020 and, as you could have guessed, is the official hub where Slam City residents' mail can be delivered and received. Welcome to Slam City Post Office. Packages are mailed by shulker box. Shipping costs are determined by storage slots and distance. Larger the distance, more money. Express shipping is available for an additional cost. PO boxes are also available for 5,000 slams. Have your stuff delivered to them. Any package that is being mailed must be checked for contraband. That one's kind of funny. Mail something today! Each active player would get their very own P.O. box as an optional way to receive mail from other players, as opposed to getting their mail directly sent to their mailbox. Which, honestly, was not that bad of an idea, considering the amount of times players have dropped pipe bombs in each other's mailboxes. Ooh, I got mail! I hope it's my Minecraft Crocs. But that didn't stop certain players, like my friend Cody, from committing some very concerning felonies. My friend Donovan was the chief of police of the Slam City Police Department, and the amount of shady shit he's committed is easily more than the amount of fingers I have on my cubic hands. He kinda abused his authority on this world quite a few times, and that was all the more apparent when Donovan pulled Cody over one day because he was, and I quote, pushing 90 over the speed limit on a horse. So out of pure spite, he blew up Donovan's mailbox. But hey, that is nothing in comparison to the other things Cody has done. Hala pissed him off one day, and in retaliation, Cody found the names of his family members on Facebook and his address and put it in Hala's mailbox as a threat. As a matter of fact, the very first day the post office opened, he tried to mail a pressure cooker bomb to the Obama residence. But when he was denied his shipping, he just detonated the fucking thing right in the post office, destroying the entire interior. Oh no. Oh no. It appears as though that explosion transition also seemed to affect the next door business. Nah, I'm just kidding. Those two incidents actually have no correlation whatsoever. This is Jalapenos, or I guess was. This was built by my friend Freakout, and let me tell you, Freakout is one of the funniest people I have ever met in my entire life. However, he was a very polarizing figure in our friend group, with some people liking him and others not so much. One of those that didn't like Freakout and often butted heads with him was Peach. They always used to be rather chill with one another, but as they got older, they just didn't get along with each other anymore. That was apparent when Freakout joined the world for the very first time and wanted to build a church. Oh god. You see, Freakout had a religion he started simply called Roganism, where his Lord and Savior was none other than Joe Rogan.
Hello, sir. Would you be interested in joining our religion, Roganism? It's completely based around the historical figure.
And Freakout built said church in this exact spot. The next day, Peach logs on, sees this church, asks me who built it, and immediately when I said Freakout, it was gone. It was like this motherfucker had a /fill air command pre-typed out just for this occasion. So when Freakout comes back and sees his church disintegrated, he already knew it was Peach. He didn't even ask who destroyed it. He went straight to Peach's house and covered it in cobwebs and very phallic looking pink concrete. But then he came right over here and built his own parody version of a Chipotle named Jalapenos in direct protest of Peach. Don't ask me why it's named Jalapenos, but the pepper in the logo is red. If you ask Freakout, he'll probably say something like, if Plants vs. Zombies says the jalapeno is red, then it's red. And I'd probably let Crazy Dave rearrange my guts. Now, after about 2 days, everything was fine. I was able to sense some tension, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. Until a certain pig entered the establishment and the interaction went a bit like this. Carnitas? Wait a second. Yep, Hala blew up jalapenos. And to this day, I don't know if it was just Hala being Hala, or if he was working with Peach to get back at Freakout. But the end result of the jalapenos bombing is still felt today, with an entire corner of the structure being held up by only scaffolding. And the building is somehow still standing all these years later. It makes absolutely no fucking sense, but major props to Freakout though. He did not let a fruit tell him what to do, and built his restaurant out of pure titanium, I guess. Truly inspirational. Funny enough, a year or so prior to Chipotle being there, my friend Jaden had built a pharmacy there, which was the first and only time you were able to, I guess, legally obtain pharmaceuticals. But of course, just when you thought there would be a good faith, legal, and morally correct way of going about a topic like this. You know, I don't know about you, but there seems to be something very off about this random dumpster behind this pharmacy. It just sticks out a lot. I'm sorry, but it couldn't be more obvious when you climb into this open dumpster and find an underground line leading directly into the over-the-counter part of the pharmacy. And if that wasn't enough, try the black trash bag loaded with illegally distributed substances sitting in the dumpster, perfect for the local homeless population. This building is probably the one structure in the entire world with the biggest identity crisis, considering it was supposed to be so many different things. First, the original builder, who I can't remember, I think it was one of the founders, was going to make it into a Wawa, but after the bird logo was built, it ended up looking more like the Hollister bird. So then it was turned into a Hollister, and it remained a half-built Hollister for a few years until Holla and Ford moved into it and turned it into Slam City Tech. Slam City Tech was a company formed by the two in order to provide a technological upgrade to the world. If you were around when the jump from Xbox One Edition to Bedrock happened, you'll know how buggy and horrible it was. But Bedrock did bring in some cool features. Two features that are pretty much used everywhere in the world. One of them being command blocks, which is one of the best things to have ever happened to Minecraft, and NPCs from Education Edition. You probably might have never seen these before, so let me give you a quick rundown. These customizable NPCs could be used to activate commands and, most importantly, help make an economy a lot more interesting and usable, since you could exchange resources for currency using the button commands. Another great example of NPC usage is the dispatcher at the police station, which people could walk up to, interact, and press a button to call the police chief when an emergency is happening. Not like he'd pick up anyway, he's probably the one causing the emergency. You can get the spawn egg for these NPCs by typing in this command, giving you this pretty cool looking spawn egg. To use them, simply edit the NPC's dialogue, and you could input any command you want, turn button mode on, and the next time you interact with the NPC, holy crap, it worked! I got free money! I just made an infinite money glitch. Let's see how many times I can do it. Oh god, not again! Holla and Ford were the only registered players in the world to place NPCs, and every NPC had to be purchased and set up by them. They were also the ones in charge of hooking up command block ATMs all around the city. Anytime you wanted something done, you just meet with Holla. But if you piss him off, yep, he'll push a button, smite you, and toss you onto the street. And before you comment, because I already know what's gonna happen, yes, they designed the front of the building after Grumbot from Hermitcraft, and it looks pretty damn cool. This is Holla's storage unit. If players needed extra storage for their possessions, they could buy a storage locker from Holla. This was a side business Holla ran to generate some extra tokens. This right here was my storage locker that I had. I only ever really used it one time, but I always liked having it just in case I ever needed it. I actually always wanted to do a Storage Wars type minigame with my friends, but we never did. That was the one thing I really wanted to do, but we just never got around to it, and it sucks. You know, shockingly, you'd think there would be something more morbid or messed up about this. Or just an enormous amount of illegal substances in here, given the track record of everything we've talked about so far. But no, not really. Nothing really notable ever happened here. I mean, in Locker 4L, they found a dead congressman. Oh god, the hospital. So much unbelievably fucked up shit has happened in here, but one story stands out the most. This story takes place in 2019 and involves my friends Jameson and Cheeseman and their other friend who was a female. I don't know how in the blue hell this started, but a family roleplay started where Cheeseman was the son and Jameson and their friend were his parents. And all of a sudden, a domestic dispute breaks out and they start screaming at each other in front of their son. Now, I was just kind of watching this unfold from a distance, but when I saw two parents screaming at each other, I had to step in. Did I do the right thing and end the fight? No, of course not. I made them fight each other in the arena in a Cheeseman custody match. But in the middle of the fight, the mother pulled a sword out and sliced Jameson's end rod clean off. Next thing I know, I magically have my doctorate and I'm having to surgically reattach an end rod in the emergency room. And it happened in this very room. You want to know what else happened in this room? Cheeseman approached me one day and I shit you not, This is what he requested from me. He wanted me to replace the urine in his bladder with 100% pure, sharp, yellow cheddar cheese so he could piss cheese. Don't ask me why or how or if that's even possible, but in the world of Slam City, if you want to urinate liquid cheese, screw it! Why not?
There's no health insurance in Slam City.
Across the street from the hospital is the one and only pet store in Slam City built and ran by Peach. This is where players can purchase a wide array of mobs to bring home as pets. Except polar bears, because there was a mass extinction event involving a lot of mustard gas. Also check out Reginald the Rabbit. He's one of the very few individuals in this universe that's on the same level of dapper as me. Also, Ford cloned him on top of the apartments. Don't ask me why, he just did it. Aw, where did you wander off to, little guy?
We have a runner.
Man, I love the way we interiorize this place. We got the pet examination rooms upstairs, aquariums. Holy sweet mother of Herobrine, somebody gave the foxes weapons! They've been left here for years and they're starting a rebellion. But Peach doesn't actually run this anymore, and I may or may not have something to do with it. So I was walking by the pet store one day and I saw Peach helping out Hala because he wanted to buy a bird. But Hala requested a specific color bird, so you know, you get the spawn egg, and Peach had to keep spawning and killing these birds until he got the one Hala wanted. So what did I do when I saw this blatant animal abuse and murder happen in a pet store? I called the fucking cops and got him arrested. Peach was arrested and charged with 6 counts of animal murder and was forced to relinquish his pet store ownership to another player. But hey, at least Hala got his pet bird. He named him Alfonso. But one day, someone killed Alfonso and Hala went on a witch hunt trying to find out who did it. And he immediately pointed his finger at Cody since the two didn't really get along. So Hala pressed charges on Cody, which is what led to the whole Facebook mailbox threatening I mentioned earlier. Now for the last building on the strip.
This isn't on the main strip, but I don't know where else I could have put it, so deal with it.
Is my supermarket. This is where players could buy their groceries and various other items. I never finished it, but I'm proud of what I have. You can stop by the baker to get fresh cakes and pastries. But this is probably actually the worst example of unfinished things in this world, simply because I meant to make a Y banner for the bakery sign, but just never did, so it's been stuck like this. And I take back what I said about these cakes being fresh. They've been sitting here rotting for years and would probably give you so many diseases if you ate them. Shit. Next door to my supermarket, however, is actually my supermarket's warehouse. This is where I had my delivery system. Essentially, players could pay me to hook up a minecart delivery system into their house, so they could get all their groceries delivered to them. You just take the book, select what you want and how much of it you need, put the payment in the minecart, and send it off. Then I would fulfill the order and send the minecart back. I actually really like doing this, but I'm not gonna lie, there were quite a few times I was tempted to send a TNT minecart back. Like, imagine you place your grocery order and next thing you know, 5 minutes later, you see a block of TNT coming down the pipeline and there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. And that, my friends, is the entire history of the strip. It took a minute to go through it, huh? But some of the best OG memories happened right here on this road, and I wouldn't change a single thing. Whether it was a fried chicken Slurpee conflict, a cheese bladder transplant, or a Chipotle bombing. The strip is the single most iconic road in the entire world, and I'm glad I got to share it with you. This entire area that you are seeing right now is what I like to call Slam City Central, which consists of the entire original build area from when the world first started, which goes on for a very long distance. So as a result, this will probably be the most dense and lengthy part of this video. Buckle up because we have a lot to cover. Let's start with Peach's fireworks store. This is where he would manufacture and produce fireworks for both the public and for for the wrestling shows. If there's one thing Peach was great at, besides destroying builds and placing shrubbery, it was making fireworks. He made so many firework varieties for different events and holidays. Christmas fireworks, Halloween fireworks, hell, he's even got Thanksgiving fireworks. Seriously, he would sit around for hours just making different types of fireworks. He even had a build your own fireworks station here. Hello, welcome to PJ's. PJ's. I love how he has like half the instructions to make the firework. Then he just gives up typing up the rest of the book. Said this and gives you a link to an online tool for you to do it yourself. Hey, I don't blame him though. We had to do all of our typing with an Xbox controller, and God was that annoying and tedious. But I'll just show you guys some of my personal favorites that he made. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me breaking and entering into his business. Theft is really nothing compared to a lot of the other crimes that have been committed on this world. Let's go ahead and set it to night so we can see these beautiful fireworks the best way we can. First, we got my favorite, the WrestleMania 33 fireworks. Oh man, those are beautiful. Peach really outdid himself with these. Wow. Next, we got the Halloween fireworks. We use these for the Halloween events and in the park. Spooky black and orange. And then this one is purple, black, and white. And the last two are the New Year's fireworks. And the Christmas ones. But Peach's Poppin' Pyro wasn't the first build here. Back in the day, this is where the original gun store was. It was run by one of Hollow's friends at the time, Josh. Oh man, speaking of Josh, I suppose this is the time I should put this clip in. What you are about to see is one of the best Xbox clips I have ever recorded. Just watch this. Oh my god, that clip belongs in a museum. That happened on this world too. I'm sorry, I just wanted to do a frame-by-frame analysis. We got the confusion, the desperate attempt to escape, the realization he's not getting out of there, and the photo taken moments before disaster. Who knew watching a teddy bear getting squashed by an anvil could be so funny? This little shack was actually one of 2 gun stores this world has ever seen. We'll talk about the other one later, as well as a story involving the person who took over this gun store at one point. And that story is one of my personal favorites. This small bakery actually has a very funny story tied to it. After Jameson finally got out of his debt due to, stalking charges, his first business he purchased on the world was this bakery. Now, Jameson was just someone everyone liked messing with, and nowadays when I look back, I kind of feel bad for him, especially as I tell you this story. So fresh out of debt, Jameson was running this bakery, and I thought it'd be really funny if we did something to fiddle with it. When Jameson was offline one day, I came up with the idea to stage an incident. How or what, you ask? Well, Ford, Hala, and I put a plan together where we planted rat shit and piss bottles in the chest where all the bread and baked goods were. Then I texted Jameson saying, "Hey dude, you need to hop on when you can. I'm doing health inspections on all the businesses in the world." I think you know where this is going. Jameson logs on unexpectedly, and I walk through the bakery. Then I get to the chest, and I open it. What the Freddy Flintstone Fahrenheit fuck is this? There's rat and where all the bread is! Hala and Ford had to mute their mics because they couldn't stop laughing while I'm standing there screaming at Jameson for poor health conditions. I shut that bakery down so fast and immediately fined him 50,000 slams for potential health risks immediately putting him back into debt. Oh god, I'm laughing, but this is seriously so messed up and I cannot believe we did this to him. He gets charged with stalking in a case we'll talk about later, and you could determine later if that stalking charge was justified, and gets put into debt, then finally climbs his way out of said debt, thinks he's doing a good move by investing in a business, and within 3 days loses everything again and goes back into debt. Man, we were so messed up. I felt even more bad because after that incident, he didn't play the world for 3 weeks and was actually kind of really mad at us. But now that I look back, completely justified. And the bakery has just sat here ever since. Okay, this next build I'm about to show you was like a goddamn cryptid. I went through every single save file of Slam City I had on my Xbox to try and find this, to the point where I was driving myself mad. Because I knew I had a save file for this, I just couldn't find it. Until eventually I found the one and only save file from August 31st of 2020 on my old ass iPad that had this build. Open Book was only around for a very short time, but it was a glorious short time. Hala decided to create Open Book purely off of his boredom, because when Hala was bored, he would write his thoughts in books, and they became so iconic he made a museum where you could go and read his thoughts. All illegal items were verified okay to be displayed. If that doesn't warn you what this building is about, I don't know what does. He had many, but the infamous and most iconic one was pizza pasta. So let's give it a read and see exactly why this was an absolutely horrible idea. Chung on my bung. Cheese on my chung, cheesy on my panini, ski with a pee-pee, nut in me getting freaky, sucky long time, lovey long time, clock it back like a 40, pumpy no shorty, blicky with a stiffy, flicky with my dicky, suck it long time, oh no, the wrong time, daddy's coming in, fuck it, join in, daddy's got the belt, oh shit, the cheese didn't melt, running down my back, cheese all up and down my crack. Oh shit, forgot the gat, better get it before he scat, smoking with a 40, some call me BBC, I call it STD, suck it so good, getting head in the hood, go to pizza pasta, getting sucked till I'm dead, Alfredo sauce on my balls, some say Osama's dead, no, he's just giving me head, if he stops, he's gonna wind up dead, when I see that ass, call it extended barrel, but without the gat, instead with scat. I'm going to have to censor so much of that. And 45 more pages of just pure empty. Yeah, I unfortunately have that entire book memorized all these years later, and unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, you probably do as well now. Because once you hear pizza pasta once, it stays with you forever. Then you got Tinky Winky's a nice guy once you get to know him. Today, some idiot was wandering around the junkyard while I was moving a rock, and he jumped under it. I think he wanted to die. Welp, his loss. He had a vape on him and some flavored juice and a framed photo of someone named Johanne. Not sure who that is. Well, now I'm going to continue tenderizing to it this corpse. Bye. Thanks, Tinky Winky. I think it's fine. 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 Chicken. And here I think you have all the different mementos Hala has curated over the years. A black box from the crashed plane in the junkyard, an Osama name tag, amazing, the ID card for a horse hung from the pawn shop, a pineapple juice coupon, the finest juice, a bomb. What did you expect? Take them if you need them. Ah yes, the infamous bitch coupons. Hala would go around tossing these at people. Again, don't ask me why. You have an urn? Don't ask. Don't touch. Once again, don't ask. The hell was in here? And then you know if you deserve it or not. The bitch coupons. So yeah, that was Open Book. It was probably only around for maybe at most a month for a good reason. And nowadays there's just a random ass water fountain here. Just a random chill spot that Ford built one day. But still, I am very glad I managed to find a save file with this thing on it, because if I just sat here reading pizza pasta on a black screen because I didn't have the actual building to show you, then you probably would have thought I was making this whole thing up. But hey, if you ever wanted to know what a mentally disturbed pig's thoughts consisted of? Now you know. This here is the Slam City Cemetery. This is where famous world figures or other players get memorialized when they die. When a player doesn't play for an extended amount of time, they are canonically considered dead in the world and end up here. And this first gravestone, although unmarked, has a very funny story tied to it that I touched on a bit earlier. So the original gun store ended up in new ownership. You wanna take a guess by who? None other than Dragon, the owner of the original roleplay world we used to play on before we defected. Dragon played on this world for a very brief period of time, and this is one of the few experiences that occurred. So Dragon was roleplaying as a blind gun store owner. Oh man. And I was playing the role of a leprechaun who was looking to purchase a firearm. I enter the gun store and yell, "Top of the morning, laddie! I'd like to buy a Colt 45! Dragon turned around and blind fired at the door with one of the bullets going straight through the leprechaun's head. And once Dragon found out he accidentally killed a customer, he dragged his carcass into the cemetery across the street and tossed his body into this unmarked grave. And as you can see, the leprechaun's corpse has now fully decomposed. Oh, Frank. I miss him. He loved boating. Frank was a villager we spawned in when we were messing around with command blocks one night. He got into a boat, and Hala shot him. Oh god, here lies Peach's unibrow. Yeah, Peach had a unibrow growing IRL at one point, and we always bullied him for it until one day he decided to shave it off in 2019. It felt only right we gave it a send-off. Joe was a pillager that Hala hired as a bodyguard when Alfonso died. I didn't know Joe as good as Hala did, but I remember a few of the things Hala told me about Joe were that he loved archery on the weekends and eating canned tuna with a butter knife. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, Sheldon. We'll touch on him later in the video. I still feel his loss every day. Tragic. This was Hala's grave for when he was considered dead. He ended up reviving himself somehow at some point in late 2020 though. And these 5 graves have remained empty for the past few years. But there's something I've been holding off on doing for years. I'm gonna save that for the end of the video though. It's only right that I finally come to terms with it and do it. Now, there is one additional thing, however, about this cemetery, and it's right next door. This is Club Underground, an unfinished nightclub built by Hala, Ford, and Donovan. This thing never even officially opened, and there's an unfinished area down here that was going to be a fight club type thing, which I think actually would have looked really cool had it been finished. What the hell? Hala's bed. Okay then. Look at all this alcohol. But, yeah. This is an underground nightclub that is built right next to and partially under the fucking cemetery. So the souls of Joe, Frank, Sheldon, and Peach's unibrow are just getting their ghostly ears blasted off in purgatory, and they can't do anything to stop it. These souls will never rest. This small house might not look like much, but this was Peach and Hala's original house. And this was actually the very first house that was ever built in Slam City. After everyone moved out of the apartments and went their separate ways, Hala and Peach decided to move into a house together. But it wasn't just the first house, it was also the first business too. They both ran a potion making business out of their garage under the name P&H Potions, where people could walk by and buy potions. Oh yeah, and this was their doorbell. Pretty funky, right? What's this chest? Oh. When did all these get here? These were the names of all the pets Hala had. He must have came back and put all these name tags in here before we stopped talking at some point. They had an underground setup with netherwort farms, as well as end and nether portals, so they could get their potion ingredients. When the world first started, actually, the most valuable resource was Dragon's Breath, and you needed a permit that allowed you to go to the end and get it, as well as sell it. Peach and Hala sold potions here for about a month. Then they, as well, moved out and went their own separate ways. But Hala actually did something pretty cool. After him and Peach moved out of the house, he made the basement appear all dark and abandoned, destroying certain blocks, adding cobwebs, and it has stayed this way for the past 7 years, which is oddly eerie and terrifying. Crazy enough, after they moved out, nobody else actually moved into this house. And it's remained untouched until if you go through one of their netherwart farms and drop through this secret entrance. Holy mother of fuck! This was the remnants of a bunker Hala made, filled with illegal firearms and explosives. And I stumbled upon it one day, and when I did, I stepped into a tripwire hook that Hala had set up, causing the entire base to completely explode. Hala knew exactly where I was gonna come in from and set up that failsafe just in case I ever found it. That bunker had millions and millions of tokens worth of explosives and guns, and all of it is gone. I wish I could show you what this looked like before it blew up, but this massive underground crater I guess is gonna have to do. Oh, I also at one point in the past couple years went around to certain landmarks in the city and wrote history books for any new players that come around and want to learn about the world. This was the first book I wrote, a small piece of history. This small house has lots of history. Built by AX57 Peach, or Mr. Pro Peach, on June 29th, 2017. Believe it or not, this was the starting ground for the first business/company besides the arena. Out of this garage, former admin Hala and Peach started P&H Potions by selling homemade potions from their garage. Their company then grew bigger until they operated in Hala's warehouse on his land. They then started selling Dragon's Breath to the local hospital. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Dragon's Breath was treated as like a medicine in this world, so just thought I'd throw that in there. They quickly became some of the richest people in the world. After the disappearance of Hala, the company was given over to Peach. This house is currently vacant and remains as a small but big piece of history. Although this house is small, in all actuality, this house marked two major milestones in the world's history: the first business and the first house. And that's something I could never forget. Oh boy, the OG park. This was another of the very first things ever built on the world. And when you compare it to its new and improved version, you really start to see its age. Just look at this little patch of land here. It's so small and adorable. Almost feels like Kevin before Kevin. Just jammed in the middle of all this stuff. Tucked away and unnoticeable to the average passerby, this small park is often a place I visit whenever I feel like I just need to relax. I kinda just sit here, listening to the ambient Minecraft effects, while listening to C418 as I softly cry in a once full but now empty world. Damn, that hit hard. Sorry. Here we have my first ever house I built on the world. I lived here for quite some time. This was built very shortly after Peach and Hala built their house. But I spent a very long time coming up with this design, and it was hard, but this 100% completely original design that I and nobody else came up with is absolutely stunning and is one of the best mansions I have ever created. I've had some very fun times in here, but also some very frightening ones. Fun fact, there used to be a homeless crackhead that lived in my walls here. He used to scare the shit out of me, but after a while, I just learned to live with it, and often just let him steal food out of my fridge. No matter how many times I got angry and I threw him out, no matter how many security measures I implemented, seriously, I had a beacon or laser fence gate. He always found a way back, so I just kinda gave up. Even though this house was a tutorial house, 100% original creation, and is probably sitting in the creative worlds of thousands of other people, I have a special attachment to it. The fun times I had throwing house parties here and tossing homeless people out of it. It makes me feel like it's my own. I also fell down these stairs a good amount of times. Alright, I promise you the park didn't always look like this. I know it looks absolutely awful, but let's go back in time and see all the different variations of the park that completely blow this modern day version out of the water. This here is the very first iteration of the new and improved park, which was from 2017 to early 2020. This right here is my personal favorite park design we ever had.
This is supposed to be a hot dog, but looks like something else.
Peach made this absolutely beautiful fountain, and I loved it. And Hala blew it up. but Peach rebuilt it exactly to how it used to be. But then in early 2020, Peach got bored looking at the fountain, destroyed it, and built a different one. One that I personally think looks a lot worse. What do you think? Do you prefer the original fountain or the one Peach replaced it with? Night and day difference, isn't it? So Peach really irked me with that. He even destroyed the original raffle booth at one point and turned it into this. Luckily, Peach improved that god-awful fountain he replaced the original with. It didn't look as good as the original, but certainly better than the ugly quartz fountain he had. And during the winter months, we would freeze the fountain, at one point having a little ice skating rink around it. This here is Fred, and Ford was the original creator of Fred. Throughout the season, Fred would hold different items. If it was Halloween, he was holding a pumpkin, Christmas was a candy cane, and his parachute would change color to match that. Fred's awesome. But underneath the fountain, through some very horrible security measures I had, was where the original dragon egg was. That didn't last long because people found it, so Doo-Wop and I came up with the idea of yoinking the dragon egg and hiding it underneath my house. But Doo-Wop slipped up one day as soon as everyone else joined the party and mentioned the dragon egg being under my house, which led to everybody storming my house and spam placing fake copies of the dragon egg, which, by the way, was a grade A felony. Then again, Doo-Wop and I technically stole the egg, and ever since then we moved the dragon egg to a different spot that we will touch on later. But take a look at how the park used to originally look and compare it to now. An absolute night and day difference of quality and love. The park never used to look this cruddy, and man, do I wish Peach never destroyed that goddamn fountain! This here is Hala's house. This was actually the very first of many different houses that Ford built for the carpentry business, and he always used to consider this one of his favorite builds he had ever made. And who can blame him? This house looks amazing, and it's not a tutorial build, making it the first house that was built on this world without using a tutorial, because Ford never really used those. He's just that damn good at building. Hala expanded his potion making business here in these backyard warehouses he connected to his estate, which allowed him to vastly improve his business. He had one warehouse for potion making and the other used for banner making. I believe down here is where Hala had his portals. Yep. Oh man, I forgot how trippy this was. Oh no. Wait, I didn't mean that. What the hell? Where am I? I haven't been down here in years. What the fuck? When the hell was this built? Is this just a little town in the end? Who built this? Nah, guys, I'm actually being completely deadass. I had no idea this was here. I cannot even tell you the last time I went to the Nether or the End in this world. The fact that I'm still finding completely new things I had no idea even existed in this world 7 years later is honestly kinda terrifying. I can't even remember what the end looked. Oh, that is trippy. Oh my god. This has Ford written all over it. This seems exactly like something Ford would do. Yeah, I don't like this anymore. Take me home. Whew, much better. Anyways, for Halloween one year, Hala loaded the top floor of his house with a crap ton of phantoms. That got really annoying. And he probably has the weirdest, funkiest doorbell the world has ever seen. Here we have the most profitable business ever started on the world, Ford's carpentry business. So many times people were too lazy to build their own house, so they would just call Ford and he would build them one. This was essentially Ford's infinite money glitch, but when you look at some of his work, you really start to understand why he became the richest man in the world so many times. And I mean, still to this day, Ford was the best builder out of anyone here. We've all had our fair share of really great builds on this world, but Ford was was by far the most experienced. And these are just a few examples of the beautiful houses Ford has made. And again, Ford very rarely, if ever, used tutorials. He started off using them, but eventually he just became a great builder on his own. Something that I respect heavily. Also, every single time he would build something, he would have a looping jukebox play the Stal disc, and he would listen to that for hours and hours on end. This may not seem like a big detail, but trust me, you're gonna want to remember this. He always had these 2 horses strung up out front, too. Yep. Again. Seems like Ford. I still don't know how the hell he does that. One of the most ironic things in the entire world is that the man who builds houses for a living here has never in the entire 7-year lifespan of this world lived in a house. Ford lived in an RV right outside his carpentry business. He has only ever lived in an apartment and this RV. I'm assuming this is the doorbell. Wait a second. Hold on. That sounds familiar. Oh boy, it has been a hot minute since I've been in here. Is this wood display still the same? Oh, sprues, yep. He never changed it. And he never fixed birch being misaligned with the other signs. He did that specifically to irritate me. Sup, Timmy? It's been a while. Hey, Stan, what's going on? What do you say? These buttons don't do anything, do they? No, they don't. You're useless, Stan. He's got some of his map art up. I could swear I remember him having another basement level. There was a secret entrance somewhere. I just know it. Did it have something to do with one of these buttons? Oh, I'm gonna be sitting here for a while. Click, 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 click! I've clicked every single button on the outside of this godforsaken building. Wait. Is that scaffolding? It is! It is! Oh, I found it! I think I found it! Damn it, why can't I go down? Ah, screw it. Okay. What? What the hell is this? What is the point of this? This makes no sense! No, I'm not going crazy. I'm not. He always used to like to hide buttons and stuff in these little crannies using the hoe. Certainly this has to be it. I've tried everything that I could have possibly thought he would have done, and I cannot find anything! I'm just gonna start ripping up the floorboards and the furniture at this point. Oh, you have gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. I remember this place now. I remember him showing me this. Hey, Spot, you've been down here for a very long time. Yeah, I don't know how you didn't starve either. I don't remember you. Oh. Uh-huh. You must be a relative of the Pen 15 Oinkers. Well, have fun for another 7 years. I know there was a second basement level, and I think you had to toss something in one of these cauldrons in order to get down to it. Oh, there we go. Whoa. Okay, then. This is Jeffrey. Don't be like Jeffrey. Don't get caught. Jeffrey went against the Colombian cookery. Oh. Oh no. Oh, not them. Well, sucks to suck, Jeffrey. It's honestly a fate worse than death. Okay, I found the teleporter to the second basement level. This was one of the last things I think I remember Ford working on. Yeah, I don't... Huh. It's so random. This looks like one of his bedrooms. He's got a fish tank. Some suits back there. Wait. What's back there? And how do I get back there? There's gotta be a door. Oh, I don't want to break his suits or anything. There's a piston. And it's connected to the jukebox? Hold on. Let's pop Stal in. Aha! There we go. What does he have that... This is probably Peach. If you're reading this, you're Peach. He put this here specifically knowing Peach was gonna go snooping around his... Oh, man. If anybody knew Peach more than anyone, it was Ford. This was the vault I think Ford kept all his collectibles and valuables in. I think... Yep, there it is. Bonk. Yep, and this is Ford's basically treasury. And it looks like he kept his... Yep, all his gear from the Halloween 2020 murder mystery that we did. This is Ford's Fukin laser sight shovel. This thing would hit like a truck, and I always wanted it in my collection, but he would never give it to me. In case you're wondering, it's a reference to Thatcher from Rainbow Six Siege. And he's got all the awards and collectibles he's earned, all displayed. Okay, now how the hell do I get out of here? Oh. Okay, leave it to Ford to make something as simple as an exit so needlessly complicated. What does this do? Okay. How does he do this? I can't do redstone for the life of me, but oh my god. That just seems so complicated for no reason. Why is there a pineapple down here? Where does this lead? Okay. Oh, yo. It's the plane that I told him to take out of the damn sky. This was an airplane Ford started building in the world, just randomly above the strip. He finished a majority of it in like 2 days, and it only needed one more wing. Months passed, and he never finished it. So I yelled at him and told him, take it out of the sky unless you're going to finish it. So Ford being Ford, he didn't just destroy it, he took the entire thing, cloned it, and put it under his carpentry business. And now this plane's just gonna sit underground and rot for the rest of time, forever missing that one wing. And that's about it for the carpentry business. It's funny because even though I don't have Ford right here with me to explain these things to you, just by looking at the way he did things, I feel like says a lot about his personality and who he is. I'm sorry I don't have Ford here to explain these things for you, but I tried my best. Ah, the good old-fashioned Slam City Diner, home of Maggie's famous potato salad. Who is Maggie, you ask? Who the hell knows, but she makes phenomenal potato salad. The Slam City Diner was always the ideal meetup spot for everyone in the world. Sometimes we'd all have a moment where we'd just kinda sit down together and talk about life. Here is the menu that Hala wrote. As you can see, we have some great options, ranging from Hala's famous applesauce pork chop to custom milkshakes, and cough. Hala was the one and only waiter that ever worked there, and one time I decided to come in for a bite to eat. I got a burger and a custom milkshake. Very good, by the way. That pig can cook. But when I finished my food, Hala walked over to me and pulled a gun on me and asked me to leave a Yelp review. I told him it was very good and I was going to be leaving 4 out of 5 stars on Yelp. He asked me why not a 5, and I said, well, I asked for a medium rare burger and it was a little more on the medium well side, but it was still pretty good. And he looked me dead in my eyes and said, okay, thanks for dining with us, before walking to the back and dunking his head into the deep fryer. All because I gave 4 instead of 5 stars. But I actually came back a few years later and I changed it into a 5-star review. But the Slam City Diner is another one of my favorite places to just sit in and relax, all while listening to some Frank Sinatra on a rainy, stormy day. In other words, much like that one episode of SpongeBob. Alright, buckle up everyone. It's time for me to share with you the second most iconic story to ever grace Slam City, right behind the fried chicken Slurpee incident. This story is one of my favorites to tell simply because of how off the walls it is. One night, it was only Hala and I in an Xbox party, and we were both pretty bored. Hala was just walking through the streets, and I decided to do a bit where I would fly over top of him like a police helicopter, narrating everything he did. It started off simple enough until he got to the cemetery, and after having one too many drinks at the Tiki Bar, he decided to do a little grave robbing. And whose grave did he happen to dig up? The teddy bear, Ford. who was considered dead at the time. Hala dug up his corpse, took his head, and immediately started running when I told him the cops were already on their way. Hala ran down this exact route you're seeing here, stopped at this house, and chucked Ford's decapitated skull directly into this swimming pool. And little did the both of us know that the events of that night would have an insane butterfly effect. Ford returned to the world a few short months after that incident, and when I told him about it, he decided to take things up a notch. We made the decision to put a curse on this house. Funny thing is, Ford was actually the one who built this house too. It stated that from now until the end of time, any person who moves into this house would be subjected to the curse of Stal. Remember how I mentioned Ford would have a looping jukebox constantly playing Stal while he built? Well, whenever someone lived in this house, Ford would have the Stal disc constantly blasting and looping on the property. This curse stayed between Ford and I until one day someone purchased the house, completely unknowing of the incoming torment and mental anguish about to be inflicted. And who was the unlucky individual who purchased this piece of real estate? None other than Hala, the same person who started this curse in the first place. And by this point, Hala had completely forgotten about his drunken grave robbing spree. So you can imagine the surprise when one day Hala started hearing Stal via a hidden jukebox. And when he got rid of it the very next day, it happened again. It started off slow with a jukebox hidden under the floorboards. Then it evolved into Ford following him through the world with a jukebox. Then one day, Ford started to cover Hala's house with Stal disc item frames. By this point, we had told Hala about the curse and why it's happening. But that didn't stop the little teddy bear. Ford even replaced his appliances with jukeboxes and renamed all the item frames to Stal. Hala then asked what he could do to stop it and if he could take the item frames down, even going as far as to threaten to destroy the house altogether. Well, to answer the first question, he could only stop the curse if he was able to sell the house to another player. And with the curse being mostly public knowledge at this point, that was almost never going to happen. And number two, sure, he could take the item frames down. So he took them down. And what happened 15 minutes after Hala logged off that day? Ford ramped it up to maximum stallitude and not only put the frames back, but built and cloned numerous Stal disc pixel arts all over the house. This was the final straw for Hala, and the constant Stal being drilled into his head eventually drove him to alcoholism, which then led to him grabbing a lead and yeah, pretty morbid. But hey, if this isn't the biggest lesson of karma you have ever heard, I don't know what is. The Stal house has remained here ever since and has only ever seen one other owner. And that turned out to be, Jameson. The house was put up for sale at 666 tokens, and Jameson bought it thinking he got a good deal. Or at least, that was the sales pitch I gave him. Oh man, we were such horrible people. This is the Slam City Police Department. Probably the most corrupt place, not just in Slam City, but the whole entire world. This is where people would get locked up for various types of crimes. Some notable inmates include Hala. And after everything I've witnessed, the chief of police should have also been locked up in here. And believe me, after some of the things Donovan has done, which are far too vile to even mention here without getting this entire video age restricted and demonetized, I've tried to get Donovan convicted, but every time I've tried to arrest him, he'd accuse me of assaulting a police officer and tase me. One time he even took a shit on my front lawn. Funny enough, and this is going to be a complete shocker to you after everything you've just heard, Hala was actually a cop too, which actually, come to think of it, might make sense as to how he got his hands on so many firearms and weapons. And here's where all the active warrants are. Oh, shit.
Wait a minute.
You're not taking me back! You're not taking me back! This was Donovan's first house, and Jameson moved into the house next door after he couldn't handle the Stal house anymore. So one day I was in Jameson's house just talking to him, having a chat, and all of a sudden we started to hear this. So we climbed onto his roof to investigate. And what did we see? We saw the chief of police, Donovan, doing the deed directly in front of his bedroom window. And when he turned around and saw us looking at him, he started screaming, saying that he was going to sue us. And that's exactly what he did, because he took Jameson and I to court and charged us both for stalking and harassment. And to this day, that is the only charge I have ever accumulated on this world. And it's a bullshit charge at that. Jameson and I were wrongfully prosecuted by a power-hungry police chief who thinks whacking it in front of his neighbors to try and get them convicted of crimes they didn't commit is a good idea. We were the true victims here, not him! Especially after having to see how small it was! Does this clock tower look familiar?
We like Fortnite. We like Fortnite.
Yeah, as you could have guessed, Peach recreated the Tilted Towers clock tower from Fortnite. Huh? What's this? It's the ice cube! Before this clock tower was built, Peach was bored one day and decided to look up a random build tutorial. And it was this exact tutorial. A modern cube house. When he was building this stupid thing, I had to try and contain myself. But at one point, I just broke down and started pointing and laughing at him going, "Ice cube, ice cube, ice cube," because it just looked like a bunch of ice cubes stacked on top of each other. Then Ford joined the world, saw it, and quickly joined in too. Ice cube, ice cube, ice cube. Then Hala. Ice cube, ice cube, ice cube. Peach spent half an hour building this, and immediately after we started calling it the ice cube house, he tore it down. And I put a singular ice cube at the top of this clock tower as a bit of a memorial to one of the stupidest builds this world has ever seen. The following thing I'm about to show you is in my top 5 favorite builds ever constructed on this world, period. And yet it was only around for 2 weeks? This was Hala's Blacksmith, which was built in late 2019. His occupation was a blacksmith on Dragon's Roleplay World, so he decided to bring his talents to Slam City because at the time, Slam City never had a blacksmith. And man, the level of detail he put into this is absolutely beautiful. The exterior uses so many different types of stones and slabs. The lava flow is sick, and even the interior kicked so much ass. And this is not a tutorial. I'm pretty sure Hala built this entire thing completely from scratch, which is even more impressive. It took him about 3 days to make this, and considering the sheer amount of things on this world, for this to rank in my top 5 of all time, that just shows how awesome it is. But as I said, this was only around for 2 weeks because one day, Jameson, Cheeseman, Peach, and Ford were messing around with explosives in the street, joking about detonating it until one of them accidentally did, causing an explosion that destroyed the front of the blacksmith. And since the front of the building was so detailed and took so long to make, Hala didn't want to bother fixing it. So what did Hala do? What he does best. He blew up his own blacksmith. Yeah, he really wins the award for the most unpredictable person I have ever met in my entire life. But man, this was a shame. Such a great build down the drain. And I really wish he rebuilt it, but I understand a bit as to why he didn't want to fix it. If there was ever a build from this world's history that I would want to bring back to the modern day, it would be this right here. This is the car dealership. You can't drive cars in Minecraft, so this place was mostly pointless and was mainly here for roleplay purposes, but you could buy horses here since we used them and classified them as cars. I've always wondered what Slam City would have looked like with cars driving around, but this world originated on console, so that was never possible. Oh, and by the way, I made a working garage door for this place using only command blocks. This was when I was just starting to learn how they worked and practiced with them. It doesn't work anymore, but I just wanted to show this to you because I spent way too long making this stupid thing. But I'm proud of myself for it. Oh, and here's an old screenshot of Ford in a race car. These two apartment-looking buildings aren't even apartments, and I don't think they were ever going to be, because this lot was going to be a movie studio where we could film our own movies, but that never happened. I'll tell you one thing though, it would have been cool, especially considering Donovan himself would have made a great movie star, because he's committed so much horrible and heinous stuff in this world, he would have fit perfectly in Hollywood. Ah, WrestleCon. This was a convention that would be held once every year, even though we only ever had one. We had outdoor wrestling shows, mini games set up, the Slam City Diner had a booth, Doo-Wop had a comedy booth where he would share some of the funniest stories I have ever heard in my entire life, and some of the hardest parkour I have ever done. Alright, I hope I can get this done on the first take. Okay. Boom. And... Ha! Booyah! I win!
That was so pathetic.
And yes, I admit, I was the one who designed that. And this is the concert area that was attached to it. However, this was the second stage we ever had. In my honest opinion, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the original. But hey, this is where we did a roleplay recreating the JFK assassination. Huh. What the hell is this? I don't remember this being here. A military helicopter hovering over a publicly cornered off crater. Huh. I wonder if the Slam City government wants me to know about this. This here is my second house. Second house of 4 total that I've had here. This is yet another tutorial house. But what can I say? I love the look of it, and I am a sucker for suburban style houses. Even though they seem a bit bland up front, something about them always just seemed so comforting to me. I mean, I grew up in a suburban neighborhood in real life, so things like Christmas and Halloween mean a lot to me, since it means a lot to my town. Decorating for Halloween in real life is one of my favorite things to do. While for a lot of people, the novelty of Halloween wears off as you get older, for me, it's actually grown with age. Believe me, this house here that you're seeing is way bigger, fancier, and a bit more on the higher end than my IRL house. I've always kind of wanted to make my own house in Minecraft. I've tried doing it before, but I never finished it or really followed through. But I do think one of these days I want to come on here and build it, because at the time of writing this script, there's a good chance I'm gonna lose my childhood home due to a lot of things revolving around family, but I don't want to lose it forever. So I think one day I'm gonna do that, just so it's always a piece of me. One thing I am very grateful for though is I actually have a save file from when I used to decorate this house for Halloween. Some of my favorite things I like to do was put zombies in my garage and have an axe-wielding skeleton in my window, as well as numerous gravestones and pumpkins everywhere. And before my grandfather passed away, he always put the candy for the trick-or-treaters in this green bowl that we still have and use today. And I put down a green shulker box to represent that. I try to do what I can to keep his memory going, so something as little as this goes a long way for me. Upstairs is my bedroom with my 3 dogs, Knight, Kira, and Shauna. The last 2 being real dogs who are unfortunately no longer in my life. Every time I logged off, I would always take a walk back to my house and head to my room before signing off. You might look at it as a bit corny, but to me, it always helped to relax me whenever I needed it. This is just another one of those peaceful places I have in the world, and I always needed that because every once in a while, my piece of shit friends rigged my front door to explode. And Ford would constantly build a tiny little room hidden underneath my house. I kept destroying it, but he kept building it. You have no idea how aggravating that was. Welcome to Tornado Tower. I first built Tornado Tower on Dragon's Roleplay World before eventually rebuilding it here in Slam City. Tornado Tower acted as the World HQ or meeting spot where the founders would come together, with each beacon color representing a founder. Speaking of founders, here's a funny clip of Rapid jumping off the top of the tower. Outside of the top floor meeting room, players can buy a floor for their own business inside of the tower. But I'm gonna show you what makes Tornado Tower really special. Following out the back and down this pathway and through this not so hidden door, trust me, in Dragon's World there was terrain around to disguise the door, you'll enter a state-of-the-art doomsday bunker with beds, storage, and anything you need to survive either the apocalypse or a tornado. This is a 1-to-1 scale replica of the exact one that I made on Dragon's Roleplay World that I recreated using screenshots I had saved. Moving down the steps, we'll reach a mini recording studio. Yeah, don't ask, I know it's a bit random, but just roll with it. We had an Impractical Jokers set, a Family Feud set with my boy Steve Harvey, Big Time Rush, I think this is supposed to be Gustavo, and I think you already know this one, so I don't even have to say anything.
Okay.
But to the right, we have the iconic sets used from Dragon's Roleplay World. First, you have the news broadcasting area. This is where I would host the daily news segments and the weather for Slam City. Me and my co-host Peach would start each show by bursting through the paintings. This was a really fun job I had. But across from the news area is the infamous kitchen. This is where Hala would host his cooking show, which, for lack of better terms, was an absolute shit show. There's this little cranny that's hidden up in the ceiling, and Peach would sit up in this tiny room and toss down the ingredients to Hala whenever he needed them for his recipe. Peach's entire job was to toss food from the ceiling. Hala's most iconic recipe was the widely known applesauce pork chop. One day, Hala was filming and he was going to make pork chops for an episode. Ironic, huh? But knowing Hala by this point, you probably shouldn't be surprised. Once he got his pork chop from the almighty ceiling Peach gremlin, he then requested applesauce. Yes, you heard that right, applesauce. And Peach was not prepared for that. Even he was confused. So he tosses down the applesauce, and Hala begins seasoning the pork chop with it. And I just bursted out laughing. Cut! Who the fuck seasons pork chops with applesauce? Seriously though, I've never heard of seasoning pork chops with applesauce. Can any of you fact check that for me in the comments? I asked Hala why he wanted to season his pork chops with applesauce, and he was about as clueless as me. He said he just thought of the first thing that came to his head. The first thing that came to his head was seasoning pork chops with goddamn applesauce? Not salt, not pepper, not toenails or rash ointment, fucking applesauce. Applesauce on pork chops, man, that's so strange. Or maybe I'm strange for criticizing it. Who knows anymore? And for those of you wondering, Hala's cooking show got canceled because he kidnapped some dude's dog and strapped it to a rotisserie. This here is one of the last things we did together. Believe it or not, all of us were going to do a podcast together. It was called the Tales from Slam City podcast. Now keep in mind, this was way before I blew up on TikTok, by the way. So this unreleased podcast would have been seen by absolutely nobody. The unfinished episode recording is locked away somewhere in my files and will never ever see the light of day, and that's probably for the best. There was also a sauna behind this painting. I don't know why. There are so many things in this world that I can't even give an explanation for. It's just there. This right here is Club Tornado, an exclusive VIP only club that only a select few of the world's richest could afford to go to. Again, this was in Dragon's Roleplay World, although this isn't exactly like that one, because on Dragon's Roleplay World, illegal substances would be traded behind this wall, but you have an absolutely killer dance floor, a trampoline in the middle of the club, a karaoke / comedy area, a bar that I actually worked at, and here, let me show you a cool bar trick.
Life is a meaningless construct held together by capitalism and hot pockets.
I would always switch to this skin and angle my head down just like this, so I can use the top of my head as a drink tray. That was one of my favorite things to do. It was so unbelievably stupid, but everyone else thought it was funny. And then you have this over here. I think you can figure out what this is. Nixon? What are you? Kennethy? What are you two doing here? This is one of my favorite screenshots from the original Tornado Tower Club on Dragon's World. Oh god, it's so stupid. His eyes are bugging through the item frame. However, Tornado Tower has a very dark, confidential secret to it. And if I ever were to tell you, I'd probably have to kill you. Hopping into this little jacuzzi and pressing this hidden button will take you through a trap door, leading you to multiple sets of 3 doors. You must answer the trivia of each one, ranging from how many people worked on the original arena to what the name of the tower that you're currently under is. And then you'll enter the 4-digit password at the end to gain access to this, the top secret underground Hitman agency. And unfortunately, it was never finished, sadly. This was the meeting room where myself and the 3 other hitmen I hired would gather. I was the organizer and the lead hitman, and the 3 players I hired were Ford, Hala, and Freakout. And they were the only 3 that ever originally knew about this place. Players would come to me, pay me a large sum of money, request an assassination on another player, and I would put one of my 3 hitmen on the case. Or if it was high profile enough, I would take care of it myself. Each hitman would have their own signature. For example, for an additional price, Hala would decapitate his victim or cut off a limb and give it to the customer. Hala even had a meeting room in Tornado Tower with yet another one of the funniest screenshots I've ever taken. This was his rule board. Down here we have prison containment cells. The armory was stashed with so many different weapons and disguises that we would use, like this police one. An interrogation room and a torture chamber. And this is a screenshot I have from when we tossed doo-wop in one of these torture chambers. Why? I actually can't remember. And then you have this back here, the vault room. There was originally going to be a whole lot more to this, but do you remember the vaults that we covered when we were looking at the hub? This was that secret underground organization that put these vaults everywhere. One of the most memorable hits placed was on Dragon's Roleplay World, where Hala assassinated the fucking mayor. And funny enough, we almost had another mayor assassination happen again on this world, but you'll see the aftermath of that later. The Hitman Agency was one of the most fun things I have ever done on this world and in Minecraft, period. And the stories I've gathered doing this are ones I look back on today with a smile, even though I was ordering the deaths of countless players. But hey, I made a shitload of money doing this. $100,000 for each hit. Me and my fellow hitmen made bank. And that was Tornado Tower and the Hitman Agency. It's one of my favorite things to show off and tell people about, but you forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them? Normally at this specific point in the tour, if I had Peach next to me, he'd completely take over this section, but since he isn't, I hope I do it justice. You know Peach as an ice cube loving, shrub placing firework boy, but behind the scenes, he was my friend, Luke. I bet the skin makes sense now, doesn't it? Yeah, Peach's favorite character from story mode was Lucas. Luke was one of my best friends, and he was a big-time theater kid. And this was the theater he built in Minecraft. Ever since the day he built this thing, back in 2019, he was obsessed with it. And say hello to the legendary box office Brad. He works at the ticket booth. There would be times we'd be in an Xbox party, and he would turn on his speaker and start singing Broadway musicals. It annoyed the absolute shit out of everyone. But I'll give him credit. His passion was unrivaled, and that can easily be seen by the amount of effort he put into this build. This took him a bit to put together, but he poured his heart into it. Originally, we hosted Slam City's Got Talent here, hence the 3 X's and the golden buzzer. We only ever had 2 contestants for it though. One of them was Cheeseman trying to play the trumpet with his asshole, and the other was Hollow lighting himself on fire. There were a bunch of other musicals and shows that we put on here, ranging from the Academy Awards to Beetlejuice and a bunch of other Broadway musicals, to... Wait, I don't remember that one. Underneath the map, you can find the other stage pieces he built that he'd set up with structure blocks, so he can easily place and replace sets as needed. But the very last thing that was set up here, and has just sat here for the past few years, was my 9,000 follower statue Peach built for me back in 2021 when I hit 9,000 followers. It's kind of depressing seeing this here, frozen in time. I remember just sitting in the audience, watching him build it and telling him how cool it was. But at the same time, it shows me how far I've come. And fun fact, Luke was my first ever TikTok follower. He was there for the beginning of my career and had faith in me since day one. So Luke, if you ever do see this, thank you for believing in me. And although we don't talk anymore, you do genuinely mean a lot to me. And I'm sorry I cloned a massive wall on top of your theater. This is, or I guess was, the Slam City theme park I wanted to build. I started this back in 2017 with the Leviathan roller coaster, an actual roller coaster in real life that looks absolutely sick. You might recognize some of these coasters since they are all ones that exist in real life. Some of them function, whereas some don't, but some just aren't even finished. Peach built the beautiful King Ka from Six Flags Great Adventure, the Harley Quinn Crazy Train, and the Joker, whereas I built Superman Escape from Krypton. This is one of my personal favorite builds. I'm really proud with how this came out. Started Millennium Force, and Leviathan. The theme park is one of the things I'm disappointed never got finished, since building roller coasters has always been one of my favorite things to do in Minecraft. Although when Caves and Cliffs first came out, I actually went back and extended the height of King Ka all the way up to the new height limit, considering King Ka is the world's tallest roller coaster. But hey, even though it is just a big gray square with nothing to it, I like to think that the coasters Peach and I built look pretty amazing. Let me know which one's your favorite. The Slam City Courthouse. So many things have went down here, so much so that we put a sheet layer of ice as the ceiling so people could fly around in boats as their court case was being settled. Really professional, huh? So while Hollow's being handed the death penalty for human trafficking, he's just ice skating above the judge's head. One of the biggest court disputes happened in 2019 and involved my friends at the time, Jaden, Jerry, and James. This was Jaden's Popeyes. He absolutely loved this thing. Here you can get your hands on a dry-ass biscuit or get stabbed in the parking lot over the elusive chicken sandwich, which actually happened both in real life and in this world. It was owned and operated by the Galactic First Order and had a planet-destroying Star Killer laser weapon right next to the drive-thru. Yeah, only on Slam City would you ever hear the sentence, Kylo Ren was a Popeyes franchisee, come out of someone's mouth. And right down the road, James built a McDonald's right next to a Whataburger Jerry had built. Oh, and Jerry had Syrian kids working at his drive-thru. Just a small detail. Oh my god, this is gonna get a guideline violation. It started with Jerry trying to sabotage the competition by writing a very phallic word I cannot repeat without getting demonetized in the parking lot of James's McDonald's, and having a, let's say, resistance protest in the parking lot of Jaden's Popeyes. Due to these actions, James and Jaden retaliated by reporting Jerry's Whataburger for having illegal immigrant children working there on slave wages. So, of course, in the courtroom, Jerry was getting the book completely thrown at him, and charged with a variety of different felonies. Now, that's where this should have ended, with Jerry getting convicted and charged. But no! In the middle of the court case, James went outside of the courtroom and griefed Jerry's Whataburger with which caused Jerry to commit arson and burn down James's McDonald's. So now I had to charge both Jerry and James with griefing. Seriously, I've never heard of a case where one side leaves the courthouse mid-sentencing to commit a felony against the defendant. James would have gotten the justice he was seeking, but he just had to go and do that. So Jerry and James both got charged with vandalism, but Jerry got charged with a lot more, deservingly so. When James lost his McDonald's, he built Joe. And also hair salon, which eventually turned into a laundromat that I promise you was not a money laundering scheme. What the hell is this? Damn it. Oh, this is an illegal substance lab. Welcome to the second ever gun store built in Slam City. The GAT Station. Oh man, that's such a creative name. The GAT Station was built and named by Ford and Donovan, and is the one-stop shop for firearms in present day. The design of this thing is pretty cool. It's supposed to look like, I guess, a bunker, or like one of those military barrack type things. Say hello to Bobby. Oh. WLM. That's something I haven't heard in a very long time. We'll dive into that a bit later. This is where every single firearm and explosive is manufactured. It also happens to be run by one of the most corrupt police officers ever, which, as you could guess, isn't a good combination. Oh yeah, and there's a fucking nuke under this, which did indeed detonate at one point inside of its bedrock chamber, which thank God it was in, because if one simple block from that chamber is removed, this entire section of the world goes bye-bye. I say that because it's happened before. Another reason why I always have 25 backup files at all times. Here's a screenshot of Jameson, Hala, and I about to test detonate it, considering Hala was actually the one who made this nuke. Add that to the list of things he's done. Also, don't question my skin in this screenshot. That's my soap toucher skin. This is Tiki Town, a small little tiki bar and restaurant I built. I even took the time to create custom drinks for the poolside bar. There's a lot of them, so you can pause if you want to read them. But if you combine a Fast 8 and a Twilight, you are gonna get completely messed up. This is also the concoction Hala was under when he went grave robbing. Please don't drink and dig up corpses, kids. But if you do, always make sure to toss the decapitated head in your neighbor's swimming pool. Welcome to the Mockingbird Bistro, where you will find the fanciest and finest dining in all of Slam City. The Mockingbird Bistro was my fine dining restaurant, designed to bring some class to this mostly classless world. Here you can order overpriced steaks or a glass of the most expensive wine you have ever seen. You could drop tens of thousands of Slam tokens on one of the bottles of wine that we have, and actually keep the bottle as a collectible. So yeah, you're essentially just paying for a collectible. But hey, I thought it was a good idea, even though I never sold a single one and nobody ever bought one. I actually had a sous chef, and it was Hala. Hala was my sous chef. And I'll never forget the time someone ordered an applesauce-less pork chop, just wanted to clarify, and Hala went up to their table and lit himself on fire right in front of the customers. Classic Hala, man. This is Club Void. There's no real stories or anything interesting that happened here, but when Peach finished building it, I started making fun of it, saying it looked like if the Krusty Krab was a gay strip club. I mean, come on, you see it too, right? Right? I am not wrong. Why are you booing me? I'm right. This next build is one of the crown jewels of Slam City, in my opinion, and is by far one of the coolest, biggest, and most magnificent structures I've ever had the pleasure of taking part in. If you have played GTA Online, you'll already know what this is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Diamond Casino and Resort. If there was one unfinished build in this world's history I wished was 100% complete, it was this beautiful thing right here. Inspired by the casino of the same name, this is almost a one-to-one replica of the original, but of course with our own twist. Hello, Mr. Valet. Oh. I thought about it. Coming in through the front entrance, after passing the head of security, you'll meet with the legendary Tom Connors.
Champagne, anyone?
And other than offering you champagne, of course, he also offers whole resizings.
All done using a champagne bottle.
This is the main area, where you'll find these. You'll see here that Hala actually made working slot machines in Minecraft. I don't know how he did it, but these slot machines actually work. We even have the gift shop here, which players were going to be able to go to buy exclusive clothing, items, weapons, and collectibles. You'll have the bar area here, as well as the chip distributor that you can go to as well. And yes, we did have a separate currency for chips at one point. So just like GTA, your chip currency was separate from your token currency. Now, like I mentioned, this is almost a one-to-one replica of the original, but it's not an exact copy. You'll notice that the layout is changed up a bit, where instead when you first walk in, you would see the podium car, but we actually moved that to the back area, where all the card games and roulette stuff is. We also had the VIP lounges, and instead of horse racing, I actually thought it was a cool idea to Slam Cityfy it. So instead of horse racing, we had wrestling match 1v1s that players could bet on. I always thought that was so cool. Moving out of the card game area and past the bathrooms and stuff, you could go into one of the cooler parts of the casino that I really love doing. This is the employees only area. Here, you will recognize this layout almost instantly if you played through the GTA Online Diamond Casino heist. Of course, it doesn't look exactly like it does in the game, but hell, I honestly think it looks better. There's a few additions that we tossed in, like an employee break area and this security room, which has a map of the casino and an armory in there, which you can only access with a redstone controlled keycard door. But this is the part of the management area that you're probably gonna recognize quite easily. This little roundabout area right over here, this is where you'll find the daily profits room, which you can optionally steal from during the heist to gain a bit more money. Then you could either take the stairs or the elevator down to probably the coolest part of this build, the basement area. Now this area here is an exact replication of how it looks during the heist. Me personally, I've done the Diamond Casino heist so many times, I'm able to pinpoint where every single guard is, and we even have the security cameras placed exactly where they should be. And then once you clear everything out here, you walk past the security room and insert 2 key cards into this door that actually works, by the way. I don't know how Hala set this up, but the door works exactly like it does in GTA Online. Once the door opens, you will enter the man trap, the same place where your GTA character would be hopping through to get to here, the vault. The vault door system was never fully finished, and it was originally going to be able to open up using command blocks and the clone command. But when you got into the vault, this is what it looked like. And honestly, I think it looks amazing. This build was primarily worked on by 3 people: myself, Hala, and Donovan. I did a majority of the interior, being things like the main and card game area, the management area, the basement, and the vault. Hala handled things like the redstone, the security offices. Hala also did a lot of the stuff on the roof as well. And he's the one who did the beautiful looking diamond font, which I remember took him a couple hours to even do. And even still, to this day, I cannot get over how great he replicated the Diamond Casino font. Like, look at this. It looks absolutely stunning. I had no idea you could even do some of this stuff with the slabs and the stairs, but Hala did it. So kudos to him. He really knocked it out of the park. The main thing Donovan helped me with was creating the shape of the vault. I had no idea how to make the shape that I wanted for the vault, but Donovan knew how, so he helped me out a bit. Then once the shape was down, I built up the vault itself. One of the reasons why I am so sad that this build never got finished was because I had plans of actually creating a mini game using this casino, allowing players to replicate the Diamond Casino heist in Minecraft. There would be two teams, the robbers and the cops. Much like the game, the robbers would have picked an approach, and the robbers had to navigate their way into the vault room by taking out pillager casino guards and finding key cards to help them access rooms that they normally wouldn't be able to. And the robbers would have had to do all of this while trying to avoid the enemy police team, who would be patrolling around the entire casino, keeping guard and trying to stop the robbers from getting into the vault. Once the robbers got into the vault, they had a certain amount of time to steal as much valuables as they possibly could before repeating command blocks mass spawned pillagers to take them out. If the robbers managed to make it out successfully, they would have been able to keep all the valuables that they stole. But if not, they would actually get prosecuted, lose the money they stole, and charged 1 million tokens each. So if you managed to make it out of the casino minigame alive, you would have been filthy rich. But if you got caught, you probably would have regretted taking part. But that high risk, high reward factor was something that I loved. And it's a shame I never got the opportunity to pull that minigame off, because the casino just never got finished. Taking the elevators up, you'll see where we were going to be putting the apartments, but that never got done. And there were going to be 2 penthouse suites that only 2 players were able to own that were going to be on the roof of the casino. Those were going to be the cool ones that you were able to buy in GTA Online. Oh, and by the way, this isn't where the casino originally was. It was originally on the strip. Yeah, what a stupid decision, because look at this. There is literally an ass hair of a gap between the arena and the casino. I have no idea what we were thinking. Overall, I'm very happy with what we have here, and this is still one of the coolest things I have ever done in Minecraft. And although, sadly, it was never finished, we never got to do that minigame I had planned out, the amount of detail, love, and soul we poured into this will never be forgotten. And I hope you like this as much as we did. Welcome to the 3rd house I ever built on Slam City, and honestly, it is probably the best. This is Wang Manor, a massive mansion that I built based off of the Dark Knight trilogy Wayne Manor. For the longest time, I've always wanted to make Wayne Manor in Minecraft, and in 2020, I stepped up and I did it. Much like many other things in this world, it's not 100% complete, but whatever there is here, I am still very proud of it. We have the wine cellar downstairs, which is very small and simple, but I don't know, I like what I did with it. Then we have the 2-story library, which again, I think I did a phenomenal job with. This would be another one of the places that I would come to relax. But the thing that's really cool is what's underneath this place. And obviously, I think you already have an idea. Behind this bookshelf, with the click of one simple button, you'll notice the fireplace has changed. Hopping through the fireplace will allow you to make your way down this ladder to one of my personal favorite builds of all time. Welcome to the Wang Cave. Or the Bat Cave. Yeah, it's the fucking Bat Cave. Down here, I would do all my work. I got my very own Wang computer here. The Batwing, which, take a look at this, comes into this massive vent shaft that leads straight up with the Batman logo on the floor. And upon clicking this button, we'll open up the vent and allow the Batwing to fly out. So there's just a massive hole on my lawn that I can open and close whenever I want. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Down here, you'll notice all my bat suits, ranging from the kryptonite suit to other bat suits you might have seen in my favorite LEGO games of all time. My favorite one being the fire-resistant suit from the first LEGO Batman. I absolutely love this suit. Have you picked up that red is my favorite color yet? And here on the bottom layer, you'll find the prison containment cells that I would have. I've actually locked quite a few people up in here. The workout area, where you could also practice your batarang aim, and the bat boat, which did at one point have a working door that can open and close with command blocks, but sadly it doesn't work anymore. Also, don't ask how the door is way smaller than the bat boat itself, and there's no way in hell this boat could fit through that hole, which, looking at it now, all these years later, is actually kind of embarrassing. But hey, I've made bigger things fit in smaller holes before. Over here is where I was originally going to have a Batmobile garage, but I sadly never was able to complete that. You'd be able to drive the Batmobile out and onto the path leading up the ramp, which would eventually, much like the Batwing vent, come out onto my front lawn. Really bummed I never got to do that. But there's actually two secrets here in this Bat Cave. The first one is this very unnoticeable glance and you miss it ledge, where if you actually go onto it and tap this hidden button, it will take you into here. Now, what do you think this tiny little room hidden in the Batcave is? Well, I'll tell you. Say hello to my boy, Alfie P. Yeah, baby. This is where Alfred lives. And funny enough, Alfred is actually a content creator. That's right, you heard me correctly. Alfred in the Slam City universe is a streamer. I stream Roblox Superhero Tycoon 8 hours a day. Go follow my YouTube channel, Pennyworth Plays, or go follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/AlfieP, which doesn't exist in real life, but in the world of Slam City, it does. Oh, and did I mention he's actually signed to FaZe? Oh my god, this is so amazing. The second secret is right here, but you don't see it yet. Well, at the tap of one button on the the Wang computer, you'll gain access to here. This is my secret room where I would do my work. Here you'll find all the things that I was working on. Oh, the Project Red Rock blueprint. We're just gonna keep that one confidential. But this is where I store all my blueprints, logs, and files, and my collectible vault, where I stored every single collectible that I've ever collected in. A couple season awards, some holiday ones, and of course, my founder's collectible. Nobody actually knew about this area for the longest time, which was kind of good because I didn't have people spying on me. And here are my audio logs, which I would use to write down what was going on in the world at the time. Let's read a few, shall we?
Insert audio log.
Day 1, July 2nd, 2020. This is Nightwing. Oh god, this is so cringy. Security level Omega. Password Delta. Charlie 275-1939. Enable new protocol. Title Agamemno Contingency. This is enough work for today. I will resume this when I have some time. End recording.
Audio log end.
Day 2, July 29th, 2020. Glad I finally have some time to myself. I have recently put the city on a realm. I do not have the privacy I used to anymore. Hopefully this is the right decision. Maybe some more work will be done. I have had thoughts of constructing a manor of great size. It will give me the perfect opportunity to create the spot I've been wanting to make for the past 3 years. Ever since the last failed attempt, I think it is time I reimagine the cave. Only time will tell. End log. Day 3, August 8th, 2020. The day has come. My manor shall begin construction. I am currently recording this log at 4:49 p.m. on August 2nd. The mansion is much harder than I had estimated. I started to regret basing this estate from the Dark Knight trilogy. This seems too complex. Hopefully this is all worth it in the end. I have big plans for the mansion. I plan to go above and beyond, not just for this mansion, but the world as a whole. I am looking forward to the future. End log. Day 4, August 4th, 2020. Alright, the front is done. After around 2.5 days of work, the front is done. I had to tear down a section of wall after I messed up the sandstone pattern. This set me back a couple of hours, but I am determined. Today was filled with more countless arguing. This time, it was about the money cap system. What the hell do I do? Everyone has openly expressed their hatred for it. Maybe I will lower it for now. Time to test the waters. End log. Day 5, August 8th, 2020. Another day, another token. But finally, the exterior is finished. Mostly, that is. Time to start the interior. This is going to be a blast. Maybe I will just do the main parts like the library first. Get that out of the way. After torturing myself with that stadium for a week, week or two, I deserve to work on my own project for a bit. I've cleared out the next couple days just to work on the mansion. Tomorrow, I start the interior. End log. Day 6, August 14th, 2020. The interior is finished for now. Today, I have started clearing out a massive underground area for the Bat Cave. Using a chain of command blocks, I managed to clear out the area rather quickly. I have decided that the season shall end on the 18th. It has already been 2 months since seasons were introduced. I'm rather impressed by the hard work put out by everyone this season. Me, Hala, and Donovan tryharded the casino to perfection. End log. Day 7, August 19th, 2020. Oh boy, just when I thought things couldn't get any better, Cody makes it better. It is currently 4 a.m. and it is only me, Chris, and Cody here. Cody came up with an idea involving Bravo 6. Let's just skip that for now. Day 11, January 2nd, 2021. I accidentally put a 0 instead of a 1. Alright, very funny. Someone decided to wander their dumb porky ass into my cave and yoink my kryptonite armor. It's whatever, honestly. I have duplicates. Sometimes these people get on my nerves so much. Like, holy shit, leave me alone. I am trying to run a world for fun. I am a jerk sometimes just because I want the world to be enjoyable, but not in the way these guys look at it. I want it to be fun, but sometimes it is too much to handle. I always feel attacked. End log. And that was the very last time I ever updated this. So there you go. There was a little insight as to how the world was functioning at the time. And there you go. That is Wang Manor and the Wang Cave, but really the Bat Cave. In terms of builds I've done on this world, this is definitely in the top 5. I had so much fun making this. The mansion was a bit annoying with some of the sandstone patterns, but using repeat command blocks to blow a massive hole underground to make the Bat Cave was so enjoyable. So although this thing was 70 to 75% complete, I'm still happy with what I have here. I am a massive superhero fan, and being able to recreate something like this in Minecraft, oh boy, I had such a great time. If I ever do decide to return to Slam City full time, this is one of the very first things on my finish list. This is yet another one of Peach's builds. If he isn't running your ear off about his theater, he's most definitely yapping about his convention center. This is where all the events in the world would be held, such as the end of season ceremonies, which as you can see, is stuck frozen in year 4, when we celebrated our 4th anniversary back in the summer of 2021, the very last event that was ever held here. And it is kind of eerie that much like the rest of the world, it's just frozen in time. Just like what I said with Peach's Theater, Luke did a phenomenal job with this convention center. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and he did have every right to brag about it, to be fair. Over here we have the season recap books. We have 3 here, but for the sake of time, we're just gonna take a look at what the first season of Slam City looked like. Beginning on June 24th, 2020, this was the first ever season of Slam City and was known as the experimental season. This season was the foundation for seasons to come by introducing a brand new currency system and a brand new never-before-seen champion system. Throughout the course of season 1, there were labs that were busted and dealt with via Chairman Nightwing. Donovan was given the duty of police chief day 1 of the new season. However, later down the line, this was proven to be a big mistake involving corruption, pressure cooker bombs, and bomb production. Season 1 also saw the introduction of many new members such as the Cheeseman, Jameson, and many more. This season saw the resurrection of not 1, but 2 original founders being Hala and Ford Country 270. Donovan also made a surprise return as well. Major projects were started, including the remodel and renovation of both the arena and the Diamond Casino and Resort. This season was started amongst the ongoing real-world pandemic known as COVID-19. This gave the residents of Slam City more time to socialize and transform the world into something amazing. Fortunately for the city, we are hundreds of thousands of miles away from the nearest pandemic, so that allowed us to work to our heart's content. Some notable moments include the purchase of the Slam City Diner, which came with an edgy pig owner, the Curse of Stal, and the Colombian Cookery. The Colombian Cookery was an underground organization run by Ford and Cody, which was the source of all illegal substances that ever came into Slam City. I can't mention much about it without getting this video demonetized, demonetized. So instead, here's the clientele list of everybody that has ever purchased from the Colombian Cookery. Now onto the award categories. Each category winner will receive a one-of-a-kind award collectible that can be framed on your wall or tucked away in your ender chest. Memes of the season included the firework tip removal, which is something that I always did to Luke to piss him off, by cutting off the tip of the big firework on top of his store. That always aggravated him. The legendary Kevin the Tree, the Curse of Stal, and Big Honky, which is something that Hala just always yelled in the party for some reason. I don't have him here. I can't give you an explanation for him. Of course, earlier in the video, you know, Kevin won this award. Hala and I won Best Build of the season for the Diamond Casino and Resort, and Ford won the MVP of the season, which meant he was the one who helped out the most with the world, whether it was helping those who needed it, helping with big projects, and overall just being a valuable player to Slam City. The first ever season will forever be written down in history for its outrageous arguments and ambitious changes. The season ended on August 18th, 2020, with Donovan becoming the inaugural Slam City season champion. Man, reading these books are taking me back. The whiplash is hitting me hard, because to me, all this felt like it happened last week, especially all the COVID stuff. Part of my brain is still stuck on March 19th, 2020, which is really sad when you think about it. This massive building is the Slam City Museum, a huge stone structure filled with hundreds of windows that I hand-placed individually myself. I started building this in February of 2020, and it took me about 2 weeks to finish. This is where we would store all of our history, and everything in here we've pretty much already taken a look at. What's this book? Yep, okay, pizza pasta, yep, okay. Yeah, that certainly belongs in a museum. This massive tree in the center is where we stored the dragon egg, and we labeled it with the date we took it out, August 12th, 2017. And I really love the way this tree looks. This is a stone statue of a chicken named Tucker, which was the name of Peach and Hala's pet chicken. Also got a ring here to represent the arena, the titty-pinching robot stalker tent, and we also just have random things in here. Like this, the useless machine. Oh, that's so stupid. And I could probably sit here for hours on end doing this. What the hell is this? Okay, this I don't remember being here. There's just a random couch and... You've got to be fucking kidding me. We also got the clock tower in here, and the exact scale replica of the ice cube! Ice cube. Ice cube. Ice cube. Icy cube. Cube ice. We got a replica of Peach and Hala's house. Fanta. Fana. Fana. Fananana. Fananana Batman. Those were two signs that I placed on top of Peach's theater when I was bored, so I had to place them in the museum. The Slam City Diner's here with the original menu, the Popeyes planet-destroying laser, and that's pretty much it for the museum. We probably should have added more at one point, but... Oh no. Oh no, not him. Following the trail of blocks behind the museum, you'll come face to face with the beaver, who's brandishing a sharp shard of glass or a knife while he's bleeding from a chest wound. I still don't know why Ford built him. This was going to be the Royal Mint of Spain. I started this in July of 2020 because during peak COVID, I became obsessed with the show Money Heist. Absolutely phenomenal show, by the way. If you have never heard of it or never seen it, go watch it. It is peak cinema. It never got finished, sadly, but I wish it did, because I had high hopes for this build. Heading down this road, you'll get to the more barren parts of Slam City, where the roads turn to dirt. Not much has ever happened over here. This was going to be where all the farmland would be, as well as all the rural parts. Hala had a farm out here called Holly Farms, and this was a build that I started called the Woodsworth Campground. This was going to be a campground where you could just hang out. In the visitor area, you can buy camping materials like a DIY build your own tent and bonfire kit, as well as take part in various other activities activities, one of those being a paintball game, where you could play against other players in paintball. But during the fall, I came up with the idea of turning it from paintball into the Slenderman game mode, where one player would be Slenderman and the other players have to try and collect music discs. I kinda wish the campground was completed. But allow me to introduce to you one of the end game Slam City projects. This is Slam City National Park, which was started in July of 2020. For 3 years, we all kinda just built random stuff here and called it a city, but we never really had an end goal to the world. That's when we started this. We do not have much done here, but when our vision of the world was going to be complete, this was going to be the area where players could just come and constantly add things. So the National Park was technically going to be a never-ending project. We had so many things planned out for it. We were gonna have animal spawners scattered around the park, and players could get hunting permits to hunt them. They could take a walk through nature, or maybe buy one of the various hunting cabins that are scattered around. Around this time, I got the chance to play the game Firewatch for the very first time, and I fell in love with it. The beautiful art style, the way nature was showcased, I just thought it was beautiful. So I built this Firewatch tower, and when you're at the top, you get a full view of Slam Summit. Slam Summit was a mountain that we generated using command blocks, specifically the brush tool. I started the mountain, but Donovan insisted that he wanted to do it, so Donovan made a majority of the mountain as you're seeing here. The summit reaches all the way up to the world build limit, or at least the old one before Caves and Cliffs. And whenever a player needed to, they could sit right up at the top of this Firewatch tower and just take it all in and see what could have been. The second to last major build in Slam City Central is this right here. The Slam City Founders Monument, a monument that I had created as a memorial to the people who gave this world life. The rabbit skin is actually Hala, because when Hala wasn't wearing the pig skin, he would wear a rabbit skin, and when I asked him what skin he wanted to be displayed, he said his rabbit skin. But, I mean, come on, to be honest, whenever I think of Hala in Minecraft, I think of that stupid fucking pig with that dumb party hat. I never finished Ford's statue, so it's kinda sat here unfinished for a very long time. He's kinda rocking an Abe Lincoln with the back of his head blown off. And I didn't add Doo-Wop on here for one very funny reason. I was gonna have Doo-Wop's homeless guy skin sitting behind the monument or like on the side of it, simply because I guess he was too poor to be up there. And on the inside of the monument, I was gonna add stuff like information about each of the founders, what they're known for, what they've contributed, but none of that ever came to be. But if anyone new ever joins this world, they will know that these are the people that made Slam City what it is today. We are down to our last build of Slam City Central, but before we take a look at that, there's a few things I want to do real quick. First, I want to give you guys a little fun fact about Slam City. Before originally, when the plan was for this world to be a full-on roleplay city world, I was talking to Hala one day about childhood movies that we would watch. And of course, Scooby-Doo came up. We were talking about all the good ones. The Witch's Ghost, Cyber Chase, my favorite, the Loch Ness Monster one. And then we talked about the Scooby-Doo WWE crossover movie. And in that movie, there was a place called WWE City, where everything was themed after WWE. Restaurants, businesses, it was all based around the WWE. And Hala and I came up with the idea of basically making Slam City into WWE City. That's right, that was a major inspiration for how this world was going to be. But we eventually scrapped that. But one of the last things I ever wanted to do on this world was recreate the arena from that movie in Minecraft. To me, that was the last thing I wanted to do, as a callback to how this world originated. So there you go. I bet there was no way in blue hell you could have ever expected this Minecraft world to be inspired by a Scooby-Doo movie. And the second thing I want to do is go into spectator mode and see what is underneath this place. Because we did so much crap on this world, I am so intrigued. All right, here we go. Here goes nothing. Holy shit! What the fuck? Oh my god! I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was this bad. It is a mess under here. Oh my god! There's so many craters. So many things I had no idea existed. Oh man, this is fascinating. So if you guys ever wanted to know what the underground of a 7-year-old Minecraft world looks like, this is what it looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final build in the original build area of Slam City. This was something that I worked on completely myself and took me years to make. Oh man, I'm actually shaking a little. It is an absolute honor and privilege I get to share with you the legendary Sunset Stadium. Started on June 24th, 2018, the 1-year anniversary of Slam City's founding, Sunset Stadium is the Minecraft version of the Citrus Bowl Stadium, which hosted WrestleMania 33 back in 2017. I started this project because I wanted a successor to the arena, the very first build that was ever started on the world. I wanted something massive, something that dwarfed the arena completely, and I accomplished just that. And I did this all myself, by the way. I built this myself, and I have a 2-minute plus sped up time lapse to prove it. I placed all these fucking seats, and the only things I had help with was when Peach did the front entrance for me and the ramp pyro. I called it Sunset Stadium because the sun sets perfectly behind the stage, leading to this absolutely beautiful scenery. Heading through the statue in the front, you'll make your way down to an underground parking garage, which then leads into this sort of backstage area. I had a much bigger office in here, at least compared to the arena, with a jacuzzi, a trampoline, and my pet panda. His name's Meatball, and he's really special. You can tell just by the way he rolls. Just sits in that corner all day, rolling. Yeah, you like rolling in the corner, don't ya? You've been rolling there for over half a decade. You're a stupid little fucking idiot, aren't you? I love Meatball. You'll also find the locker rooms down here, catering, interview areas, equipment storage, and security rooms with a massive map of the whole stadium, which really goes to show how big this place really is. The inside is mostly barren, but we were planning on adding different restaurants, stores, and shops, much like the arena had. But unfortunately, time wasn't on our side. The only store that we have here is one of the merch stores. I also just wanted to give a huge shout out to Bobot Plays and WWE Minecraft. Their version of the build is what inspired ours, so a huge shout out to them. Those guys killed it. Making your way up one of the many different entrance tunnels, you'll find yourself in the heart of the stadium, where the massive ring above the ring is. If you are a wrestling fan like me, you're probably freaking out right now, because this was the best WrestleMania stage, and just one of the best stage designs I've ever seen anywhere, ever. Since WrestleMania was in Orlando, they themed it all after Universal Studios, and as a kid seeing that, it was just so cool. The infamous long-ass ramp is also here, which is 110 blocks long, almost as long as the one in real life. Heading backstage, you can hang a right and go down the ramp entrance, which will take you underneath the ramp going all the way towards the ring. This is where all the pyro under here is hooked up, and a secret trap door that the Undertaker used for his entrance. There's nothing else really backstage except the pyro tent, which is where all the pyrotechnics is hooked up. We have pyro all along the stage, all along the roof of the stadium. There is pyro everywhere. Unlike the original arena that used all redstone for its fireworks, these are simplified down to just a few command blocks, which is so nice and convenient. The entire stadium is 44 blocks tall, 360 blocks wide, and 337 blocks long. There are a grand total of around 1,366 parking spots, which is absolutely insane in terms of Minecraft, making this the biggest build in Slam City history by an absolute landslide. Nothing even comes close to this. The closest thing I can even somewhat remotely think of is the casino. Even then, that is not as big as this stadium. If anybody wanted to know what I was up to during peak COVID times, it was finishing this thing. Hundreds of hours alone went into making this thing, and I would not take a single minute of that back. The completion of this stadium launched the world's history into a new era, and I can safely say that Sunset Stadium is the ultimate crown jewel of Slam City. And with that, we have officially finished Slam City Central. It took us a minute, didn't it? But I sincerely hope you had as much fun as I did. I told myself that if I ever came back to this world, this section of the world would never change drastically. The iconic buildings are still gonna stay exactly where they are, because this is what makes Slam City, Slam City. And I wouldn't change a single thing about this place. This is my home. A lot of builds here still certainly show their age, but what I am about to show you is what the following era of Slam City looked like. Upon completion of Sunset Stadium, that marked the beginning of a new chapter for Slam City. It started off by building one simple strip of highway. A crappy one at that. I mean, literally, the road is floating. This began the Slam City expansion. You see, everything we just talked about was when my friends and I weren't well experienced in building. And I mean, even then, Slam City Central was just a bunch of things piled together and called a city. If you take the roads away, it's just a super flat build world and nothing more. Following the magical floating highway and taking the first exit will take you to the first area of the expansion. We don't have a name for the spruce area. Seriously, that's just what we call it, the spruce area. It started when Ford started making these custom spruce trees. The entire area is covered by them, and they look absolutely amazing. The very first build that was ever started here was this right here. This quiet, quaint little gas station that Hala made. And you'd probably think I was joking when I say this, but no, I'm not. This is one of my favorite builds on this world. I don't know why. I just love the look of it, and Hala just did such a great job with it. Something about it, just surrounded by the trees and everything, just looks so nice. Now, I don't know if I actually mean that, or if it's simply just due to the fact that this was for the first time ever when we had trees in the world, so it was a complete whiplash for us. The world is a super flat, it's completely barren, and it stayed like that for years. And it wasn't until 2020 when there was actual life and vegetation on the world. Inside the gas station, you can get a variety of different items, like the... Yep, nope, I'm good. Nope, I'm good. You can get ass cheese and ball chili for your nachos. I was also shanked by a homeless guy that jumped out of this dumpster back here. Over here, we have one of Ford's lumber mills. And again, much like the gas station, it's so simple, but I love it. Now Ford's carpentry business actually had a way to get resources. Sorcerer. Yep, this build screams Ford if I've ever seen it.
Oh, hi, pushes up glasses. What do you need?
RAR XD nuzzles eject. I heart cam girl Cody. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Cody's career choice in Slam City was a cam girl. He's a dude, by the way. And over here we have the infamous junkyard. The junkyard was originally in the center of Slam City Central, and it stayed there for a good bit before we moved it here. And this is my personal favorite location it's ever been, because it's actually moved around a lot. This was an idea that I came up with way before the museum was started. The junkyard was essentially where I would hide Easter eggs about the world's history, like Doo-Wop's broken down 7-Eleven sign, the H that Hala had on his driveway, a crashed plane. Oh, okay, alright, yep, alright, okay, yep. Now we know how the plane crashed. The Popeyes logo.
The cuck shed.
And one of the Stal disc pixel arts Ford kept spamming all over the Stal house, which is now buried underneath all the dirt. The destroyed remnants of the Ice Cube house, and this contraption, which was a DP machine with 2 end rods that I locked Cheese Man in, switched to my prison soap skin, and started twerking on top of while dancing to Rasputin. And if you follow the blood trail, it'll lead to this crushing device, and when you head down into it... Yep. I absolutely love the junkyard, and all these stories is what kickstarted my TikTok channel 3 years ago, and it's so cool to see all this stuff again. There's just a few more things in the Spruce area, but they don't really hold much importance. They're just kind of cool. This is an auto shop that Ford made, and a tavern Peach created, which I think is very nice. It fits the area well, if that makes sense. But now, allow me to introduce to you my favorite area on this whole world. North of the Spruce area and the bustling city, you'll find the quiet area of Salem. Salem is a town that is permanently stuck in my personal favorite season, fall. We started this place back in September of 2020 and is the most beautiful section on this world file. Towards the end of this world's lifespan, this is where we found ourselves the most. We slowly stopped building in the original build area and set our full focus into this major expansion. This area was never finished like most other stuff, but there's still so many things here that I really want to give it its time to shine. The first thing we're going to take a look at in the town of Salem is my Taste of Autumn coffee shop. This was a coffee shop that I started in late 2020 and was totally not a front for my Wang token cryptocurrency scam. I absolutely loved Jay Schlatt's Schlatt coin bit from SMP Live, so I tried replicating it here in Slam City to see if I could get anyone to fall for it. Nobody ever did though. But I don't know what gave it away. Underneath this coffee shop is where I had all the employees work. This was the very, very early beginnings of my Mr. Wang character. And my original assistant was actually a villager named Sheldon. And Sheldon watched over my employees while they worked. But there's a few things that I forgot to mention about Salem. This area, although quiet and peaceful, has a lot of mystery to it and some very, very dark secrets. When you're walking through the woods one night, you might notice some movement in the trees. But I promise you, whatever is in those trees is far worse than even the deadliest Viet Cong soldier. Because in the woods of Salem lurk a Herobrine worshipping blood cult that lives in the trees. Yep, I bet that one came out of left field. You might stumble upon one of their many different signs, including but not limited to burning treetops, summoning circles in the forests made out of fire, or just a bonfire meeting place in the middle of the woods. But their actual meeting spot is on the outskirts of Salem in this abandoned, rundown house with cauldrons of blood surrounding it. Inside, you'll walk down the basement stairs. Okay, that was just complete coincidence. Oh my god. You'll find the cult's official meeting place, where they gather around a pit that leads straight to hell. And one day this cult kidnapped my assistant Sheldon and sacrificed him to Herobrine by tossing him into this pit, never to be seen again. Yeah, that's pretty dark, isn't it? There's a lot of things about Salem that just don't add up, but the secrets that it holds will uncover the dark truth about what this place really is. On the same road as my coffee shop, you'll find the 98.8 Slam City radio station. This is where every day of Slam City started, with a short little talk show covering the daily events and what plans we had for the day. You also find a wide variety of different vinyls and records in here, ranging from Halloween and Christmas music to, of course, Frank Sinatra. I'm gonna be completely honest, this little shack is an ugly piece of shit, but it wasn't meant to be anything too fancy. Of course, to really bring in the small town feel, Salem has 2 diners that are literally a block away. The first was the Black Cat Diner, which much like its surroundings, is permanently stuck in the fall and Halloween season. And the second diner is quite literally just a reskin of the Slam City Diner. It's called the Dwarf Diner, and it's ran by Ford, because he was a dwarf. There are some light interior changes compared to the Slam City Diner, but the one standout to the Dwarf Diner that Ford loved yapping about was this nice little back door outside seating area. For some reason, there would just be multiple times I'd be flying over the area and I'd just see Ford sitting at one of these tables, which was kind of funny. Then up the street, you have the quiet Salem neighborhood, which only consists of one street, really. This area was reserved exclusively for suburban houses, and this is where my 4th Slam City house resides. Specifically, it is this one right here. It's so small, comforting, and the absolute perfect word used to describe it is homey. With a small kitchen area, a nice little living room, and yes, before you say anything, I committed the cardinal house building sin of making a fireplace with no chimney exit. Before you say anything, yes, I did think about that when I put it there. I just simply did not give a fuck. Besides, it's not your business anyway. Who cares? Let me choke on my own fireplace's cinder and smog. I'm a businessman. I'm around factories every single day of my life. You think a little bit of fireplace smoke would kill me? I would spend a lot of time just sitting here on the couch in my living room, watching the fireplace. And my favorite part about this house is actually the backyard. I don't know why. It probably just has to do with the childhood memories I always used to have of helping my mom and my grandfather rake leaves in the backyard during autumn. Which is why if anybody ever tells you games are just games and there's nothing more to them, they are wrong as hell. Because video games have played major roles in the lives of millions of people. And don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. These houses are nothing too special. They're just your classic run-of-the-mill taste of suburbia, although one of them is a bit different. In roleplay terms, everybody on Slam City was fucking stupid. That's because there was never a school in Slam City until Salem was made, and I finally built up the courage to build a school. This is the Slam City School, a place where the residents of Slam City can finally get educated. Now, I know what you're thinking. Given the track record of everything that we've talked about for these past, like, 2 hours, you're probably expecting me to say something horrific that happened at this school. But honestly, shockingly, no. I told myself when Slam City began, a school was completely off the table, simply because I know how my friends are. I know how messed up their imaginations can get. I would know that if a school was actually built on this world, it almost certainly never would have ended well. And that was all that was going through my head while I was building this place. I chose to make the mascot for the school the wolves. Hala, of course, wanted it to be the pigs, but I don't think having a school mascot resemble a world-renowned would be a good idea. Upon completion of the school, every single player was mandated to take a history exam, which was me quizzing them on the world's history. And I could confidently say, after having to deal with this group of idiots, I now completely understand why teachers hate their lives. Since Donovan was a football player in real life, he's the one that put together the football field, while I did the scoreboard. There was actually one experience, though, where Donovan and Jameson were in the locker room together, and Donovan started screaming at him, accusing him of intently watching him undress. Jameson denied it, but Donovan told me it was either I suspend him or he was gonna arrest him. So I ended up having to suspend Jameson. And if you ask me all these years later, I really don't think Jameson did anything. Wait a second. I knew there had to be something in one of these lockers. Okay. Oh, there's another. What's in here now? We're gonna start making our way towards the biggest part of Salem, and to get to it, you need to follow this road. I wanted to show you guys this just in case so you didn't get lost. So for the record, this is where we are going. On said road, off to the left, you'll find a dirt path. Upon following the dirt path, it will lead you to here. There is nothing really special about this house. It is literally just a random small house with a little pond next to it, chilling in the middle of the woods. I still want to show this to you though, because I feel like this just highlights a major part of Salem and the atmosphere that it has. Like, I don't know about you, but I would love to live in a house like this. It's out of the way compared to most things, but it's like the perfect amount of out of the way, if that makes sense. I believe Ford actually made this, and it's probably one of the many different board builds Ford would do. Welcome to the heart of Salem, the actual town part of this area. These buildings look extremely bland, boring, and unfinished. However, they're actually supposed to look like this. That's because here in this town, players could buy these boring, empty buildings and use them as a template to create their own store. So the boring ones that I just showed you were actually just templates or blueprints. Not all of these are souped up and personalized, but I'll run you through a few of them. Ford and Hala actually banded together to create their own company, and they very wisely combined their bank accounts and bought a number of store templates on the main strip. This one here was a gunpowder factory. Keyword factory. It wasn't actually a store. This is where Ford and Hala ran gunpowder production. And it looks as though they even had their own employee. It looks just like him! The system that they used here to farm the gunpowder was a simple creeper spawner, and they would fall right into the campfires and die. Spawners, by the way, were actually extremely expensive in this world, because it technically provided you with infinite income. So as such, I had to price spawners at an astronomical price. I can't remember if it was 5, 10, or 15 million, but with Ford and Hala working together, they actually managed to get one. The creeper cucker. Oh, that's an amazing sword name. On the same strip, they also had a sugarcane farm. Ford put this one together, and it's all automated. Cane spokesperson Tyler? I'm assuming this is where all the farmed sugarcane would end up. Mechanic Tyler? They will never find you. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll just go now. God, even the NPCs in this world are psychopaths. Now, like I mentioned, these were just factories. You couldn't actually buy product from them. Instead, you had to go down to the corner building that they also owned, and this is where their base of operations was. Here is where you can buy their products. Oh, man. What's going on back there? Is that... Oh. And who are you? Cupcake? Is she a stripper? What is going on back here? Stacy. I'm being held against my will. Please help. I can't take any more BBC. What? What the fuck is this doing in here? And who are you? Meat beater. This is hot as fuck. Aggressively shits pants. Okay, you know what? I think I've seen enough. I think I've seen enough, man. Get me out of here. Next door to H&F's offices is Gold Inc., a branch off of Hala and Ford's company. Whereas Ford managed the sugarcane and the gunpowder farms, this is what Hala brought to the table. Hala's part of the company was doing what he did best, being a blacksmith, and that's what this building is. And man, I don't know how Hala does it, but he can make such a beautiful blacksmith. This is the second one he ever made on the world, and although it looks nowhere near as good, obviously, as the original one he had made, the way he transformed this extremely bland looking building into something that genuinely looks nice, I gotta give him all the credit. He is pretty damn good. I mean, look at this. He even used campfires as minecart rails. I don't know if I could have ever thought of that myself. And of course, you know Peach had to get in on the action, so he bought out one of the buildings and made a second fireworks store, which has the same layout as the one in Slam City Central, except this one is a bit more wide and has more room in it. This right here is the center of the town, marked by this massive and beautiful clock tower that I built from scratch. No tutorial was used. This clock tower was all me, baby, and I love this thing. You could actually go up to the base of it and ring the bell by pressing this button. Damn you, Ford, you piece of... Yep, I knew it! He changed the command block to a repeating one. You guys have no idea how many times he did that to piss me off. There we go. Much better. God, I haven't talked to him in years, and yet he's still finding ways to irk me in present day. Here in the town square, or town circle, we would hold a variety of different events like wine and craft festivals using these vendor tents. And over here, we have the Salem Town Hall. And if you go inside... Oh yeah. This was the other mayor assassination attempt that I was talking about earlier. Hala was the mayor at the time, and somebody tried to assassinate him with a respawn anchor. And Hala somehow, someway managed to survive. But hey, I mean, if we had a homicidal menace parading around as our mayor, I'd probably try to do something to eliminate him too. And this is where Mayor Hala would do all his meetings and work. It's also where he kept his pet panda. The fuck are you looking at? Don't give me that pissy face. Yeah, I bet my panda Meatball, he could eat your ass. Fine then, I'll just lock you back up. Have fun staying imprisoned in here for another 7 years. Stupid son of a bitch. Up the street from the town on the side of the road, you'll come across this. R.I.P. Big Steve. He will protect us forever. Big Steve was an iron golem that actually didn't originate in Slam City. He was actually my basement guardian in a little thing called the Salem SMP, which is a story for a whole nother day. But I chose to memorialize him here, because Big Steve was an absolute legend. Hell's going on over here? More flaming trees. I'm assuming this was something cult related? What the hell is that? Please don't explode.
I'm like, how much someone named it?
I have no idea what that says. But you know, maybe some things are best left unanswered. You might have noticed the change in grass texture over here, and that's because one of the last things we tried doing here in Salem back in 2021 was changing and reverting all the green grass to Crimson Nylum, because Crimson Nylum looked like it fit the fall aesthetic perfectly. Well, like I mentioned, that was 2021, a whole year after we had first started Salem. We only decided to try and attempt it after we had started, which made this whole process way more difficult. But from the early glimpses that you're seeing here, this area would look miles better if we actually finished replacing the grass. This is the Megastore, the Slam City equivalent of a Walmart, but crank the amount of cracked up 3 AM whack jobs up to an 11. Here at the Megastore, players could buy and sell a wide variety of blocks, items, and tools. When you have players like Ford who ran a lumber mill producing mass amounts of wood daily, he's bound to have an overstock of logs logs at some point. Players had to buy the supplies needed to build their house. So when people needed wood, they went to Ford. But when there were no players that required said wood, Ford would have a bunch of wood just sitting around collecting dust. That's where the mega store comes into play. He can come here and sell excess stock for a designated amount. Of course, he'll probably get more tokens if he can successfully sell it to another player himself, but when that option isn't available, this place exists to ensure that businesses can still run properly and function. People could choose to buy things like wood here, but the base price on items is higher here to encourage them to buy from other players. My original goal for the mega store was to eventually make every single block in the game available to purchase here, but after I filled every single shelf and ran out of room, I kinda gave up on that idea relatively quickly. The mega store became a detrimental piece to the world's economy, and without it, every single business in this world, including the economy, would have crumbled. Next door to the mega store was a simple, unfinished baseball field, which would have been part of a massive park we had planned. The park was actually being planned out by Hala and I one night, very shortly before we stopped talking. I still remember the night the two of us were in a party together at 4 a.m., building this field and chatting for one of the final times. Speaking of final, this was the final build we started in Salem, the last thing that was built here. However, there are two more builds in this section of the world that I really want to show you guys. All the way in the back of Salem. Oh. Yeah, I kind of forgot about those. I kind of forgot that's kind of a... Oh. It's still raining from the sky all these years later. If you guys don't know what this is all unexploded, unrendered TNT from when all of us would just go in random points of the world, load chunks, and just blow things up. It took me a while to figure out how to get rid of them, but boom, that command always gets rid of them. So many of us would just sporadically build random things at random times around the world. I mean, that's kinda how the OG area became what it is. Just a bunch of stuff piled together. But since this world is a super flat, it means it's the perfect place to build shit. That's why I created this build zone, so players could just build and do whatever they wanted without the restrictions of the rest of the world. For example, one of the important rules we settled on right at the beginning of Slam City's origin was that there were to be no medieval builds of any kind. Simply because it would be extremely weird to see a castle directly next to a fucking car dealership. So yeah, you can kinda understand why we put that rule in place. And when the build zone was started, Ford practiced his castle building here, because he didn't have that restriction. A lot of this stuff here is just random, but these are some of the highlights. Every time I hit a major follower milestone on TikTok, I would always build a statue for the occasion, much like what you saw Peach build earlier in his theater. At one point, I gained 3,000 followers so fast that I actually had to combine the 6, 7, and 8,000 statues into one. I had a series when I first started content creating where I would build whatever the people in my comments requested, from popular MMOs, challenge games arena, to Stampy's lovely home, and I think this one needs no introduction at all. But the real gem of the build zone is this right here. My followers, oh my god, oh god, what the fuck? Holy shit, my PC is about to explode. Somebody help me, my computer is turning into a hydrogen bomb. Yeah. This is my followers monument, a series I began on my TikTok channel in May of 2021 that began 100 straight days of pure unadulterated torture. I hand-placed over 500 signs and typed out over 1,000 of my followers' usernames on them, which is insane in and of itself, but I did all of that using an Xbox controller. Yeah, I did this every single day. If I didn't have arthritis before, I most certainly developed it while doing this. This was awful. But if it doesn't show how much you guys mean to me, I don't know what does. I even had a special section exclusively for other content creators who followed me. Two of these creators, as far as I know, stopped making content years ago, but I actually became mutuals with someone by the name of Twice Shorts back when he only had 300k on TikTok. Now he's way bigger than I probably ever will be, but I'm proud to have met Twy on my content journey, and I hope the rest of these people I added to the monument are living good, successful lives, even though a majority of them probably don't even follow me anymore, let alone know who I am. They probably all forgot I exist, if I'm being honest. We have now gotten to the final build of Salem, and this one is another one of my all-time favorites, although it might be a bit strange. Welcome to the Starcourt Mall. The mall primarily featured in Season 3 of the blockbuster Netflix show Stranger Things. I started this build in February of 2020, and it took me so much trial and error to put this thing together. Ooh, and look what happens when you walk in. I love this place so much, man. One more time. I'm so happy I get to show this to the actual public. I've waited years for this. While obviously this is not a one-to-one recreation, but I combed through multiple screenshots from the show to get the basic layout down and add any visible stores I could see. One of the tools I used the most that also helped me the most was the Stranger Things 3 video game. Yeah, I probably bet you didn't even know that existed. But it gave me another piece of source material that I was able to use to make this mall as good as I possibly could. You can enter the raffle here to try and win this absolutely beautiful car. Who wouldn't want to win this stunning vehicle? God, Minecraft vehicles look so cursed when you try to make them in vanilla. You could buy some classic vinyls from the record store, visit Hollow's custom banner shop, which, yes, he had one in here too. A Blockbuster, which is in an 80s mall, but funny enough has the traffic it had during the 2010s, and the First Order actually invaded it by adding a Popeyes. We got the good old table for one, and for the very special high-paying customers, the elevated seats. It's just a force of habit here. I have to check this freezer. I can't tell you how many times Hollow would hide dead bodies in restaurant freezers. He even did it to mine, but luckily I don't see anything in here. Oh. Of course, you can't have Starcourt without the iconic Scoops Ahoy ice cream parlor, one of the best parts about the Stranger Things universe. Oh yeah, and this has nothing to do with the build itself. It's quite literally just a flex. I actually got to go to the Stranger Things experience back in 2022 in New York City, and I got to try actual, in real life, Scoops Ahoy ice cream. Literally had the time of my life. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there to make you jealous. Seriously, the atmosphere and aesthetic of Stranger Things Season 3 is amazing. Speaking of the best parts of Stranger Things, it's my favorite character, Steve Harrington, whose dialogue is still stuck from when we did the murder mystery back in 2020. You can even go into the back area where Robin decrypted the secret Russian transmission, and in this item frame was a book where I rewrote Hopper's emotional letter to Elle word for word as a bit of an Easter egg, but for some reason it's sadly missing. I don't know what happened to it. You can actually head even further back into the unfinished management area, head up the elevator to the second floor, and you'll find yourself inside the cinema. The same shortcut Steve lets the kids take in the first episode of Season 3 to sneak sneak into the movie theater. And as you can see, the cinema is only exclusively accessible on the top floor. Here's where you can find the very tasty concessions area and the movie posters advertising huge blockbuster 80s hits like Back to the Future, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all of that 80s goodness. One of the theater rooms themselves are unfinished, sadly, but the other one is finished. In case you're wondering, the screen here was originally gray or black, but I actually recorded a TikTok in here 3 years ago, so I turned the theater screen green so I could do stupid funny shit like this.
Dude, this car's ass!
That is pretty much it for everything inside of the Starcourt Mall. It was kinda cool, right? But it's about to get a whole lot cooler. If you are a fan of the show like myself, you'll know that there's one other thing about Starcourt that the general public doesn't know about. Heading behind the mall and entering through the cargo loading area, you'll go through this piston door, which is actually an elevator that leads down into the secret Russian base. This place is nowhere even near complete, but what I do have here is pretty cool. In this room, you will find the massive drill that the Russians used to try and break their way into the Upside Down and create a portal. And that portal is right here. I'm personally really proud of the way I did it. I thought the honey blocks in front of the nether portal went perfect together. I even went as far as to create a completely 100% original fictional power source that would power the machine. I called it Chromium 57A, and in the Slam City lore, it is extremely unstable, dangerous, and explosive. So as you can guess, Hala stole a lot of that. The machine here is activated by a 2-man lever pulling system, and since I'm all alone right now and I don't have a second person to pull the lever with me, I'll try and do it as quick as I can. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? I promise you, that was no Ender Dragon, but in all likelihood, a Demogorgon. I also, for some reason, decided to set up a self-destruct switch, which, in case you were wondering, does actually work and causes the machine to explode. Screw it. And with that, the Salem chapter of this tour comes to an end. Although I love the OG build area with all my heart, Salem is my comfort place, and something about it brings me a sense of warmth that I simply can't get anywhere else in Slam City. Even though this was the newest area of the world, it still has a strong sense of nostalgia to it. So Salem, thank you for being here when I needed it most, and providing my friends and I with some much needed peace. We have just 2 major builds left to showcase and one last story to tell. Coming off the one side of the highway, you'll find Fort Paradox, the official military base of Slam City. I started Fort Paradox in 2020, and it was going to introduce the military. You have everything here you would find in your typical military base. 3 massive hangars with plenty of F-22s on standby, barracks for the soldiers, research centers where the base would develop new technology, helipads and elytra pads, an air control tower, shooting ranges with multiple different types of scenarios you could practice with, and my personal favorite thing, the bombing area. How this place works is you go into this little shack here, press these buttons a few times, equip some splash harming potions, or if you are a little extra diabolical, some lingering harming potions, aka mustard gas. Then simply fly up with an elytra and start dropping bombs on the spawned in enemies. This is one of the most fun things I ever put together, and I would find myself coming over here when I was bored and just start practicing my war crimes. Seriously, build one of these in your world and try it for yourself. It's the perfect thing to scratch an itch in your brain that you never even knew you had. I was actually going to do something really cool with this hangar, hence why it's closed, whereas the rest are opened. I would talk about it here, but if I do, the CIA would probably have me dead by the morning. Oh yeah, and did I mention this place has a nuke under it? That's right, this is an actual working nuke just chilling here in the middle of the base, which leads into here. Welcome to the WMD room, the place where we were going to store all of our weapons of mass destruction. However, there is only one weapon here, and you're probably wondering what the hell this contraption is. Well, to put it bluntly, this is an EMP, a massive device that was designed to devastate. Oh man, I don't think it works fully anymore, but the story behind this thing is by far one of the funniest I've ever had the privilege of taking part in. What you are seeing now is a huge flaming underground crater, but 4 years ago, this place was one of the best kept secrets in Slam City history. One night in mid to late 2020, Cody, Ford, and I were all chilling in an Xbox party together when I started talking about the eventual military base I was going to build. Cody right off the bat told me that was what he wanted his occupation to be, a soldier. So that kickstarted the idea of introducing Bravo 6.
Going dog.
A highly skilled military team that would carry out the most dangerous missions in Slam City. But of course, we had to change it up a bit. Bravo 6 in Slam City was codenamed WLM. What does WLM stand for, you ask? We love men. Oh my god. And WLM treaded on the border of what was legal and what wasn't. See, we would do raids on known kingpins in the world and confiscate any illegal material. I remember we raided one of Donovan's bunkers and confiscated so many illegal substances. Now, what's so bad about that, right? We did something good. Yes. But we didn't do it the way they would in real life. We would find these bunkers, confiscate the product, blow up the lab because hell yeah, and pin the deed on another player. So after blowing up Donovan's bunker, we planted false evidence on Hala, which kickstarted a criminal underground war. We would also kinda sorta maybe abuse our power a little bit by just messing with people. You see, Donovan had this restaurant by the name of Papa Don's, a pizza place where he sold pizza, brace yourself, with his schmegma as the cheese. Yeah. I hated it too, which is why that was chosen as the next target of WLM. So Ford, Cody, and I would go into his pizzeria each week and change one small thing about it. Something as simple as moving his recycling bin one block. That's it. He picked up on it and noted it as strange, but just shook it off. But little did he know that small action was foreshadowing the impending attack that was about to unfold. A couple days before the incident, we left a note in one of the cardboard boxes he had. Prepare your anus. Signed, WLM. I don't know if he ever found it before what I'm about to tell you, but regardless, Cody, Ford, and I were unknowingly causing Donovan so much torment. So the day came. Donovan walks through the front door of his pizzeria and... boom! The whole building fucking explodes. And he starts screaming, "What the what just happened? My pizzeria just exploded!" And me, Ford, and Cody had to mute our mics because we were laughing way too hard. Donovan was mad, and I'm talking beyond furious. So he starts interrogating everyone on the server, but he had no idea it was us three that did it. And by the end of his investigation, he immediately thought it was Jameson because he knew Jameson hated him. So Donovan falsely convicted Jameson of griefing and bombing his pizzeria, all while the three of us were right under his nose the whole time. After a few months of troublemaking, we started coming up with the biggest plan yet. We constructed an underground bunker of our own and hid it underneath the Slam City post office. Here was our HQ where the three of us would meet. We built a fake house under here so we can practice our raiding. There was also the confiscation rooms where we would put all of the things that we've confiscated throughout all of our raids. Of course, the armory where we would store all of our weaponry and gear, such as Blinky Boys, aka military grade glow sticks, air booms, which is just a shulker box of 4th of July fireworks we stole from Peach's fireworks store, and a personal locker for each of us. Kowalski, Skipper, and Rico. Those were our code names. Cody was Kowalski, I was Skipper, and Ford was Rico. It's pretty easy to tell who was who, although you could have easily figured out who Rico was just by looking at his locker. We had these Bravo starter pack kits packed to the brim with everything we needed. Explosives and charge detonators, riot equipment, the wacky hole shovel, and at the end of this hallway is WLM's very own WMD room. That's right, we had our own WMD room and our own personal nuke that we named Chumley. A giant nuke named Chumley. Oh, isn't Chumley beautiful? I wonder if this EMP works.
Apagando las luces.
Yup, it does. It does work. This is the original EMP too. This is the WLM briefing room, where as you can see, we had a massive map of the entire OG area just strung up on our wall. I think Ford was the one that put that there. Is that on top of Peach's Convention Center? In front of each of our 3 chairs, you'll find the Operation Blackout plan book. This was the ultimate end game for WLM when we were ready to reveal ourselves and take out the whole world with us. Operation Blackout. Plan: trigger EMPs across the state and murk every person. Cause distraction to lure everyone to one spot above EMP. Once everyone is in one spot, the activator will push the button on the EMP. When they question what's happening, put your gear on and eliminate them. The EMP will set everyone to survival. Drink the supplied milk to clear the effects. Peach, Hala, and Donovan will have their permissions wiped. Once killed, leave party and debrief. Make sure to appear offline. Debrief in separate party. The EMP would activate repeating command blocks that would give everybody in the world, except Cody, Ford, and I, permanent blindness and force their game mode into survival. This was WLM's ultimate plan and is the sole reason why I created that EMP. So you're probably wondering now, did we ever pull it off? And the answer to that is sadly no, because the secret of WLM got out. And it's completely my fault. You see, one night I had accidentally taken a screenshot of the EMP. And you know how on Xbox you get an activity feed where you could see what your friends are up to? Well, my accidental misclick of a screenshot was seen by Hala when one day he was just looking through my profile because he was bored. And in the top left of the screenshot was the coordinates to the WLM SLM base and all of our plans. Hala found out about it, the secret got out, and I tried to cover some of our tracks by blowing up the entire base with respawn anchors, but by then it was too late. WLM was outed, and thus the Bravo 6 project of Slam City was caught, compromised, and put to an unfortunate, timely end. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our tour is soon coming to an end. What you are about to see is the final build ever started on this world. Now, although this build is incomplete, in a sense, this is the biggest build we are looking at. I am proud to present to you the Skyarrow Bridge. If you grew up at the same time as me, I'm talking late 2000s, early 2010s, you'll recognize this bridge instantly, because this is the Skyarrow Bridge from Pokemon Black and White. One of the things that was imprinted into my head as a kid was coming out of that route tunnel for the very first time and gazing upon the beauty of one of my all-time favorite gaming locations. I used various amounts of source material like the cards and obviously the games themselves to try and recreate it the best that I could. I added sea lanterns along the sides, which make this build look absolutely stunning at night. I started this by myself in 2021, just 1 month before my friends and I went our separate ways, making this the final build in the Slam City timeline. Now, when I said this is the biggest build in the world, that might not be exactly true, size-wise at least, but this bridge was going to mark the final chapter of Slam City. You see, when we decided to begin the expansion of Slam City, we did it for a very specific reason, and that was to show the evolution of our building skills as we got older and as time moved on. You can already see the drastic change in skill from the OG area, which is filled with either low-quality builds or tutorials, except for maybe a few. Then the Spruce and Salem areas where projects got bigger, more detailed, and more organized. Much like how Sunset Stadium was the start of a new chapter, this bridge was going to kickstart the true endgame of Slam City. On the opposite end of the still unfinished bridge, we were going to build the ultimate city. A real city, not a place where you just build random shit, connect it all with a road, and call it a city. I'm talking a full-fledged, fully organized city with skyscrapers, trains, the mafia, and more. And what you're looking at right now is the actual early blueprint I had put together that would roughly give us a map of how our city was going to look, with a massive statue of the founders, kind of like the one we already have, in the heart of the city, surrounded by water. And you probably think I'm crazy, but I wanted to build 3 more stadiums. WrestleMania 35 at MetLife Stadium, a Monster Jam Stadium, and finally capping it off with the WWE Scooby-Doo Stadium that inspired this world in the very beginning. That was going to be the final build of Slam City, a return to our roots. It was supposed to be the pinnacle, the true climax of our journey, and the peak of our skills. A place so grand that you'll find it hard to believe it came from the same middle schoolers who spent their summers building ice cubes and 7-Elevens. Peach and I had started blowing up a massive crater under the bridge because we were planning on making an ocean to surround the city. Hala and I even talked about building Arkham Asylum together off the coast of the city. That was a project I would have loved to do with him. Cargo ships, yachts, kids. We had the vision of it all. Did we aim a bit too high? Yeah, probably, but we were kids, and we wanted to make something we could all look back on together 10 years from now and say, we are amazing. But I have a little surprise for all of you. Although that mega city I just talked about never came to fruition, I can give you guys a taste of what it was actually going to look like. You might have caught this earlier in the video, but off to the side of the Spruce area, past Ford's auto shop, you can find this. While I was building Skyarrow Bridge, Ford and Peach began practicing for the final chapter, building the city streets and brainstorming. Peach built a roided up version of his theater, which completely puts his original one to shame, and it's not even finished yet. We were going to one-up all of our old builds in this city, and that was something Peach couldn't wait to do. I told them to practice here, and when we were ready to begin the city, we would simply structure block all of this over. But now, since everything is abandoned, this has just sat here for years, untouched, as perhaps the biggest what if in Minecraft history, and a stark reminder of what could have been. And with that, we have now covered every major story and build from the past 7 years. Before I give my closing remarks, there's something I've been wanting to see for a very long time. For years, I've always wondered what Slam City would look like with shaders. But since this world was started on Xbox One Edition, that never would have been possible until now. Although it's not a full-on shader, there is a purchasable add-on on the Minecraft marketplace called Realistic Biomes. It's supposed to transform your world and add much more life to it. So I'm going to equip this for the very first time and see what my childhood Minecraft world looks like in an entirely new light. Here is what the world looks like without it. Whoa. Okay, right off the bat, I'm hearing a lot of ambient effects. I cannot see a single thing. Hold on, let me see if there's something I can change. There we go, that looks a lot better. Wow. The moon looks so much more bright. Oh man. Everything looks a lot more dark, but they look realistic. I mean, wait. A shooting star. Holy shit. To you guys, this might not be as mind-blowing, but seeing this world with so much more detail feels extremely weird, but it looks so good. The sun's rising. Oh. Oh my god. I'm at a loss of words. I feel this is gonna sound weird, but this feels like it's 2017 again. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but just the most overwhelming feel of nostalgia I think I've ever felt. Wow. That's all I can say. It's just wow. I gotta see this. Oh, the rain looks so much better. And for one last time, I think I'll have a seat at the diner. Oh. Hey, Fred! You doing okay up there? Of course he is. I'm gonna go around the world and get some footage, and much like all of you, take a minute to just breathe it all in. It's time that I give my closing remarks. And to start, I'm going to be doing something that I've been honestly putting off for a while. Something that I really don't want to do, but at this point, I think it's best that, much like my friends, I need to move on. What the hell? Hello?
Hello everyone, I'm Chris, but you might know me as Ford. For those of you that made it this far in the video, it might be time to consider dropping Mr. Wang a sub. Slam City was a massive part of my friends and my childhood. It got all of us through tough times and built a strong relationship between us all. We had many fights and even more apologies, but we always ended up having a really good time. My favorite build in Slam City would have to be the underground compound underneath my carpentry business. My favorite memory on Slam City would have to be the aforementioned WLM incidents. My life has changed a lot since we all played Slam City. I now work a very time-consuming job in construction, It doesn't leave me much free time left to play anymore though. I was told to give an inspirational or motivational message, so remember every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow and improve. Embrace each moment with a positive mindset, believe in yourself, and never give up on your dreams. You will achieve things you never thought were possible. My time here is up, but remember that the power to achieve greatness lies within you. Keep striving, stay motivated, and never lose sight of your dreams. This is Ford, and thank you for hearing our childhood story.
What up, man? Do up, big chillin', you know. 20 years old on this planet as we stand. Been chilling, man, you know, in college. I'm a junior, about to be a senior. Just got my own apartment. It's pretty nice. You know, just paid off my car this year that I bought last year, very first car, so that's pretty nice. Prestiging in Call of Duty as I speak. So, you know, W. Life's been good, man. Slam City it meant a lot to me, you know, when I was a kid. When you're a kid, you cherish those moments, you know, you're kind of just trying to play what's fun, or, you know, you're not really thinking about, you know, what to go for next, or, you know, what I'm going to do tomorrow. Like, you're really just living in the moment. So I tell you what, man, you know, just Slam City meant a lot to me. Just countless days of me being able to just escape reality, turn my brain off, and really just dive into, you know, just playing the games, enjoying, you know, the boys. And it really has shaped me today, you know, because it helps me really define who I want to put around myself. Even if my homeboy Rapid wants to sue me for my fried chicken slurpee in my own homegrown business, 7-Eleven, I built that thing to the ground up. And to see my sign in the junkyard with my lawsuit in my hand just really shed a tear. Not on my face, but in my soul. I spent my life savings paying my lawyer just so I didn't have to sleep in a cardboard box. I love you, Rapid. That was low. Anyways, always remember to eat your veggies, kids. I love you all. And Luke, I knew it. What closet? You ain't come out of no closet. You been in the closet since Advanced Warfare, and I'm tired of it. You've been there. We been seeing you. I'm proud of you, boy. Stay safe.
What's up? I'm Holla. Though a lot of goofy shit on this world over I don't even know how many years whenever I met Nightwing. Probably my favorite thing to build was the casino, despite it made me want to tear my eyeballs out. In my spare time, I like to go on long romantic walks with,
oh my god, how you don't have to talk about what you do in your spare time.
Women aging between 47 to 72 specifically. If she ain't too aged, she ain't a lady. For the other people that build on this world, Dustin, I miss you. Call sometime, let's fuck. Tyler, you come a far way, but you're still a bitch. Peach, I always knew you were gay. Do-Wop, keep that ass tight. Tio, Papa John's is better. I'm Holla. I think it's fine. And Wawa Lemonade's fucking gas.
You know what? Something tells me that this is better than an actual serious, genuine message from you.
I think it's fine.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Well, I guess it's my turn then. Hey everyone, my name is Nightwing, and I am an original founder of Slam City. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for taking this extremely lengthy time to hear the stories of our childhood. Before today, these stories were locked away in our Xbox parties and existed only in our memory. But thanks to you, the legacy my friends and I have built here will carry on. The truth is, you don't know when you are in the best years of your life. Not until you look back and wish you cherished them more. But that's okay. You didn't know you were making memories memories. You just knew you were having fun, and that's all that matters. I haven't spoken to any of the Slam City members in 3, almost 4 years. It's been almost half a decade since I left that party for the night, not knowing it was going to be the last time we all played together. But no matter where my friends are, no matter where I am in life, Slam City will forever be a part of our lives, and it will never be forgotten. I will remember every argument, every apology, every build project, every meme, every underground illegal substance lab, and even now, I will remember every time my front door exploded and look back at it all with a smile. There may be a tear, but it'll be a tear of joy, a tear of happiness, and a tear of gratefulness. Live in the moment and treat every experience like it's your last. Don't focus on what could have been, and instead focus only on what you have. Friends for life. Only then will your nostalgia truly mean something. My name is Nightwing7974, and this has been Slam City. Phew. Well, that certainly took a while, didn't it? I hope you enjoyed this video, or I guess a documentary if you really want to look at it like that. I don't normally ask this, or at least don't push it as much as I probably should, but if you enjoyed this journey with me, if you enjoyed our stories, please consider leaving a like on this video and maybe sharing it with a close friend you appreciate as much as I do mine. I spent 9 months of my life putting this together with hundreds of hours of work, a 94-page script consisting of over 20,000 words, and it was supposed to release on the last day of 2024 as my end of year special. But as you could have guessed, reaching out to people you haven't spoken to in almost half a decade is not easy, especially since we're all adults now with varying different life problems and schedules. But I think the extra delay was worth it simply for this ending. The OG chapter of Slam City may be over, and my friends might have moved on in life, but the door is always open. If any of them are watching this, you guys mean a lot to me, and you are some of the best things that have ever happened in my life. So for that, thank you for your gift of friendship and camaraderie. By the way, there was actually too much for me to cover in this one video. There's still a whole bunch of things out there in Slam City I don't even know about. And I'm the owner of the world. But maybe one day we'll go back and take a look at the smaller things I chose to leave out. Who knows? This book, this story is now finished. A chapter of my life that I can now confidently say is complete. Now, get the hell out of my office. I got some writing to do.